It is 6 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The Seattle Kraken snapped a 7-game losing streak by defeating the Nashville Predators last night 4-3 on the West Coast. Former Predator Colin Blackwell scored the go-ahead shorthanded goal early in the third period. Matt Duchene, 2 goals for Nashville. Roman Josi, 2 assists, giving him 500 points for his career. UC Saros, 27 saves. The Preds have lost 2 in a row, but 6 of their last 8. SEC Women's Basketball Tournament at Bridgestone Arena, day 1 yesterday. Vanderbilt defeated Texas A&M 85-69. Jordan Cambridge had a triple-double, 13 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists. Vandy faces number 23 Florida today. That's a 2:30 tip for that. We will be carrying the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament on 104.5 The Zone's app and 1045thezone.com. OVC men's basketball tournament yesterday in Evansville, Indiana. TSU defeated SIU Edwardsville 77-62. Tennessee Tech all over Austin Peay 78-51. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 1045 The Zone.
Man, our JMart Ramon morning audience was rocking. Would have been unbelievable what it would have sounded like next week.
What? Yeah.
It is JMart Ramon 1045 The Zone, lifted up by all Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin, at Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. Will Boling, Dave McGinnis today. Plenty of conversation surrounding those two gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
Not surrounding them specifically, but conversation surrounding our conversations with them.
I mean, if they ran a 40-yard dash or hit the bench press, screw that. Bench.
Still riding high from the half chicken I had last night from Smoking Chicken.
Hey, where's
on 5th and Broad.
Oh, yeah? You've had that before, Shafe? Am I missing out?
I'd like to.
So you didn't bring any leftovers
Had
for
5 marinades.
5 marinades. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I didn't get marinades. It's too much. But last time I got it, it was just too much flavor.
Cost? Oh, too much flavor.
Can you have too much flavor?
Yes.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, I had to pull it all off. I had to pull all of that off so I could eat it. It was so potent.
Get lost in the sauce.
But they have like Caribbean jerk marinade and
that's who you
what did
are.
the Caribbeans
Asheville
ever
got-
do to be called jerk
Abby got
sauce?
yeah.
That's not fair.
Oh,
I mean, what
Asheville
did they
got
do?
a Nashville hot.
Is it the way they jerk the chicken when they season it?
Stop.
Phrasing.
It's 6:03, Moan. I can't do this for 4 hours today.
That's all right. You can call one of our sponsors. They can help you out with that.
Put yourself in the frame of mind of a professional. That's what we do here.
Jay.
I choose violence.
Yeah. Hey, where did the chicken, like, where does it come from? Can't even get it together right now.
Let's just make sure our words still work.
Is it the way they jerk the chicken whenever they're seasoning it? Is that where they get it from? In Caribbean?
Chicken's dead.
Caribbean.
I'm gonna look up what jerk chicken is because I need to know now.
Yeah.
Why
Folks
do
are telling
they
me.
call it jerk chicken?
And why is it the Caribbean that's the jerk, or is the chicken the jerk?
It is
or
the
is
way-
it the motion of pulling the chicken off the bone?
Yeah.
Which of the 3 is it?
Which one
I
is
don't
it?
know.
And I love it.
Now
by
you
the
got
way.
now you got me on a website called The History of Jerk.
Is it the way they jerk the chicken when they season it?
I'm just gonna read it, okay?
Sometimes they use their. No, I can't. I can't do it.
Jerk chicken is believed to have been conceived when the Maroons introduced African meat cooking techniques to Jamaica, which were combined with native Jamaican ingredients and seasonings used by the Arawak Indians. The method of smoking meats for long periods of time served for good reason, keeping insects away from the raw meat, preserving the meat longer once it has been cooked. This process also introduces a strong, smoky flavor to the meat. So you get it already, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
jerky.
It's jerky.
And why do you call it jerky? Because you jerk the bull before you put him when you put him in a Slim Jim pack.
Yeah, 100%.
I just said that even worse than I meant. Stop.
Phrasing.
All right. Treacherous Thursday.
According to most food historians, jerk is the Spanish word that comes from a Peruvian word, charqui, meaning dried strips of meat, like what we call jerky. Okay, there it is.
There it is. You were closer than I was to why the chicken gets jerked.
Jerk is a complex blend of seasonings, including scallions, scallions, onions, Scotch bonnet peppers, my favorite kind of bonnet peppers, salt, thyme, allspice, black pepper, and many other spices.
It's that time of the year, too, Caribbean food.
Man. The legendary mecca for jerk is Boston Beach. I just want to say the legendary mecca for jerk is Boston. And then just
stop right there.
That's right. That is correct.
Stop right there.
This is so ridiculous.
Man,
speaking of Boston.
You've ever had oxtails, by the way? Speaking of Caribbean food?
Nah, I try to stay away from bulls' asses.
Oh, my gosh. That's because you are one. But besides that, I've just seen people just bragging on oxtails. I got to get some, man. I recently saved a Caribbean restaurant here in Nashville I'm going to go check out, by the way. I will give it up, but no free pub, but I'll tell you after where I go. Same way you did with the jerk chicken you had last night. Smoked chicken.
But I said it on air.
Oh, okay.
I'll
tell you the restaurant.
I went ahead and gave it to him.
At some point, I'm going to go to, what's the name of it? My bookmarks. Not Milk and Honey.
Clearly, I've been to Milk and Honey. I love Milk and Honey.
You love Milk and Honey?
Yeah, it's a good place. Good coffee.
They got good coffee. You know all the places in the city that got real good coffee, huh?
Yeah, I do.
Is that what you do?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes we just do.
Sometimes we just do.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, I got to tell you about Sexual Chocolate Dwayne. Because he wrote me last night to go in detail on Chris in Manchester.
Are you being
calling yesterday and saying he was Sexual Chocolate in Manchester, in McMinnville.
Yeah, what about Sexual Chocolate?
He says, I was listening to Chris this morning just to give you a more accurate answer to Ramon's question about why I'm famous in McMinnville. It's because I know just about everyone there and surrounding counties, from school, sports, vet events, or just being a respectful person. Well, I guess you could add sexual chocolate. That's how he finishes. So he's like, yeah, I know all these people. And,
man of the people.
Sexual chocolate.
Are you still trying to find the name?
Island Vibes is the name of it.
Okay.
Island Vibes restaurant.
Well, I'm at a rave right now.
I saw it happening, and I said, I'm going to keep it that way. I did. I legitimately saw the lights flickering in here, and I said, know what? It'll fix itself. If it messed up, it'll fix itself, Jay.
Mom, the lights are rocking. Gosh, those lights are rocking. It's amazing what they would have looked like flickering next week.
I'm down with you. Come on, man. Jerk chicken. You jerk chicken, you. Nice shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
Saved by the Bell?
Yep.
Somebody used to try. I never saw Saved by the Bell like as a whole.
It was a little past your time.
But it was when I was growing up, though, also. I had friends that was just like, no, you don't watch Saved by the Bell? I was like, nah, it doesn't register to me to watch it. It was just so, is it an awesome show?
I mean, yeah, for all the good and bad reasons.
For mid-90s?
It was just a show that was on all the time in the afternoons. And then, of course, it ran on Saturday mornings. And if you've seen it, you don't unsee it. You just remember so much about it. And it made some stars. It gave some guys and gals some careers.
What's her name?
Lark Voorhees.
She's from here, too, right?
I don't know where she's from.
Yeah, she's from Nashville. Tripped me
out.
Tree,
right? Because she's a lark.
Meadowlark. Meadowlark. Go ahead.
You can see where this show is headed, correct?
Treacherous Thursday.
I know we're talking to people at the Combine. I don't care.
Rhythm and Spice is another place I got bookmarked, too.
Rhythm and Spice.
Yeah, Zach Bunch is in the chat talking about it now. Caribbean food. And no, I've never had oxtails. Apparently, they are delicious. They sell them at Sam's right now, too, by the way. I almost picked up a pack. I was like, am I going to cook these right now? And I didn't. So I just left them.
Cool story.
I know.
That's awesome, man. When you tell us, when you go shopping and you're like, you know what, I saw these. I didn't buy them, but I did think about it.
I did because I fancy myself as a cook every once in a while. You're the resident chef in your house too, huh?
Great. Now
No,
I'm going to have
Lord,
Bam
no.
calling in.
Now you
Abby's,
go-
Abby's definitely the
Thanks.
cook. I'm the barista.
You're
She's
the-
the cook.
I thought you said you got an apron and everything with a top hat.
I do have an apron.
You do?
Mhm.
Do you tie it?
Do I tie it?
Yes.
No, I don't think so. I mean, Abby may have tied it once.
She tied it for you?
I only wear it
You're
if
so
I'm
lost
grilling.
right now.
I mean, you do have a kid.
You do have a kid.
I don't even know what we're talking about right now.
You do know what we're talking about right now.
Do I have to explain the joke?
Yeah, I think you might. I know it's open in the back.
Abby tied it once,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, well, you do have a kid.
Mm-hmm. We'll get you later, man.
I'm still
It
missing. I'm
was a
still
sexual
missing it.
innuendo joke with the word tie.
Jason. Come on, man. Come
I didn't
on.
say it was good.
Treacherous thirst. We're off and running, man.
Tubes? Is that what we're talking about?
Jay, let it go. How far?
Do I need to recue the opener and
how
us
deep?
restart this show? Because
Yeah,
this
we
is-
do. We're coming up right here. Are you drinking bean
hold
water
on,
right now?
Hold on.
Drinking Black Rifle.
Oh, look at this cute guy over here drinking this Black Rifle
Got his
coffee right
pinky
now.
sticking out from his mug.
I know. With his natural, homemade water that he has. How was that? Did you perfect that on your break?
We're not doing this. I don't do the homemade water. I told you that. I said it is something some people do. They don't make the water from scratch. They add minerals to it.
How many molecules of
I can't.
O do you have?
I can't, man. I can't.
How many molecules of hydrogen do you place in
These
your
hydrogen
water?
molecules were rocking. Would love to have seen what they would look like combining with sodium next week.
We're going to get into it here in a minute.
We'll talk
okay?
about Jon Robinson on the other side. I was driving in, listening to national guys mocking him. I think let's just say it this way. I'm conflicted about this whole situation.
Yeah.
And so we're going to try and discuss it. And we're going to also say 615-737-1045. We want to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah.
And if you didn't hear it, we'll play it for you when we come back. Jon Robinson at the Combine yesterday talking about being, things he needs to do to improve his job.
Had a moment.
He had a moment.
He had a moment, man. And we all do, get emotional about stuff. I didn't expect it there, but he had a moment. What was your first response is what we're looking for, all right? And I guess what's the expectation after this?
Yeah.
There's a lot.
And I see Chris wants to talk sexual chocolate. So that's what we're doing.
I don't know if he does, but that's what I put in the subject.
That's fine. So we'll come back. We'll talk about JRob.
And sex with chocolate. And oxtails.
And we're done with oxtails.
You gonna have oxtails.
You haven't had oxtails.
We gonna have oxtails.
JMart and Ramon and oxtails here on 104.5 The Zone. So this is interesting. I was reading this in the Wall Street Journal during the break. Going to see the Batman this afternoon at 3 with Abby. Already got a ticket for tomorrow night in case it's good.
Mixed reviews.
If it's good, I'd be very disappointed if I couldn't see it again tomorrow because of my love of Batman. But I'm also willing to can that ticket if it's not good because I think it's going to be one or the other.
You said it's mixed reviews already,
I think it's going to
Shay?
be really good or really bad.
I've seen mixed reviews on it.
They actually didn't screen it. I was a little surprised.
They didn't screen it?
No.
Well, you said that is a telltale sign that it's not going to pop.
No, not always.
Not-
There was one guy that started coming to Nashville screenings a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That
Jason
is
Martin.
the most annoying person to watch a film with
Yeah.
because he never shuts up and he laughs through a bunch of stuff that's inappropriate and all this. And Marvel stopped bringing their stuff because of him.
Really?
And so I had to go to Atlanta to see Avengers Endgame at a screening down there. And
Who's
so
this guy?
that's a legit thing.
Who's this guy?
It's not a good thing, I can tell you that. But this is why I'm mentioning this. AMC is testing out, AMC, the film chain, is testing out variable pricing. What that means is if you want to go see Uncharted, which has been number 1 for the last 2 weeks,
I had no idea.
you pay $16.
Okay.
You want to go see the Batman, you're going to pay $17. Variable pricing. Batman first weekend expected to be the box office winner, you're going to be charged more. It's not a standard ticket price across everything in the theater. If it's a hotter ticket, you're going to pay more.
So if a movie is in its fifth week,
It's going to be. It doesn't mean that the price necessarily goes down. It just means new releases they're testing out are going to cost more. Like Uncharted, or let's see, the Batman is $2 higher than Dog, the Channing Tatum film. Through the website or there. They're not doing it in smaller chains, but they're testing it to do nationwide going forward with AMC.
Now, see, when you said variable pricing, let me throw this idea out, that if you have a movie that's not necessarily Batman, but let's just say movie whatever, and it's in its 5th or 6th week at the theater, and the price is actually a little bit lower, I may be more likely to go because the price is lower in the 5th or 6th week than not going at all.
Look, there used to be, I don't know, back in the day, the 2 greatest film days that I've had, other than seeing The Dark Knight 3 times in one day and The Dark Knight Rises 3 times in one day, but unfortunately, The Dark Knight Rises was also the day of the Colorado shooting.
Ooh,
and I got out of the midnight show and we found out about it, that it happened at a midnight showing
I remember.
in Aurora. I had walked out of an IMAX and was going right back into it to watch it like 30 minutes later. I'd taken the day off and I was going to write about it and all this stuff, and then found out about that, and it was just kind of like, well, that sucks.
Puts a damper on it.
Yeah, that sucks. But the 2 best film days were the days that I saw True Lies and Forrest Gump on the same day. 2 outstanding films that were radically different. My friend and I, we went. They were so packed in Winston-Salem. I went and saw one. He went and saw the other. Then we switched theaters, and then we collaborated afterwards. The other one was when I saw Fight Club and The Matrix together at the Dollar Theater.
Wow.
Really?
I saw them both at the Dollar Theater. And the Dollar Theater is my point here. If it's a film that you're like, I want to see it, but
Yeah.
the Dollar Theater was the answer.
100%.
So if it's not something that's just, I got to see it today, then yeah, I'll wait. If variable pricing means that it's actually going to drop, then I could see why people would wait.
I'll say the pressure of knowing that the movie is really good, though, too, I might go see it then. I mean, it's one of those situations. The first thing when you said variable prices, first thing that came to my mind was dollar movie. I'm waiting on the Dollar Theater, even though that's $5 now, ain't it?
And
Or
it
is
makes you
still
wonder,
$1?
are they going to exclude if you're in, like an A-list or a preferred list or an unlimited pass member in the case of Regal?
Yep.
Are they going to exclude that, or is it still also going to be, are they going to find a way to get more money, or is this a way to drive you to do that so that you can get away from variable pricing? I don't know, but I find that's interesting. I did not know that they were doing variable pricing.
I get it.
Testing it out.
Why would you not do that?
The same thing as you go buy an album that's 3 years old. A lot of times iTunes will sell it for $6.99, but the new record's going to be $11.99.
Well, they need to fix their prices as far as their concessions, though, too. I will say that. They got to make that a little bit more affordable for folks.
Yeah.
They have to.
Yeah, I agree. And look, the film industry is still kind of Speaking of which, you got HBO Max. Put Free Guy on your list.
Adding it right now.
It was very, very good, and it's something I didn't get a chance to go during the pandemic to see. It actually came out at theaters. I tremendously enjoyed watching that film this week.
Free Guy.
Lived very much up to what I had been told that it was. Just a heck of a lot of fun. Chris in Manchester. Chris, what's up?
What's up, Chris?
What's going on, fellas?
Hey.
So, I think since Starbucks heard me talking to you guys about Black Rifle, I think they sniped me yesterday morning.
Uh-oh.
That's the ultimate competitor for Black Rifle.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I just wanted to call you guys back up and finish what I was saying yesterday, and I wanted to give a little input on JRob's deal yesterday.
Okay,
So,
that'll set us up in there. That's good.
Yep. So, Dwayne's just an all-around good dude, man. He would do anything for anybody. He'll give you the shirt off his back. But I want to give you the inside track on sexual chocolate. That dude has got more moves than Magic Mike on a damn dollar night. I mean, he is the cat meow. So that's where I kind of gave him the sexual chocolate name. He would be dancing around inside our factory up there, and I got him on video. I may wind up putting that on Twitter or something one of these days just to get him back. But he's an all-around good dude. Inside track for both of you guys. Me and Dwayne are two of the biggest Vols fans ever, Moan. So
Go Vols.
with Jason being such a coffee snob like we all are, you guys need to hit Dwayne up and go up there and get him to set up what we call a cupping in the coffee industry.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Love a
cups. Oh, yeah, man. They're awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So get them to set up a cupping for you and go through that process. It's one of the most interesting things that you could ever see. Even if you've never done it, Moan, it'll open your eyes up to the coffee world. So that's that. Go Vols. Now for the JRob thing. Man, I was so pissed after the Titans losing this year. And I seen that same level of anger in JRob's eyes yesterday. And I think this dude is fixing to set up a monumental season, a monumental off-season like we've never seen. We've already seen that the man pulls off stuff that nobody can even fathom in their head. And I think this year he's fixing to pull off something absolutely spectacular. And it's going to be a Buster Burn kind of deal, you know. And I just really think it's going to be something big that nobody is expecting. It may shock everybody, but I want to get you guys' take on that. Thank y'all for giving my guy Dwayne some love. I'm telling you, that dude's a class act, and he sets up what Evan Hafer with Black Rifle wants that company to be.
That's beautiful.
He's the ultimate model of employee for that company. So
Chris.
Big shout out to him.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Appreciate it. Yeah, just being around him for a little while. I believe every word you say. And it was just cool being around that company and just their mission, what they do for first responders and how they set up all sorts of charity work with Christian outdoorsmen and a lot of folks around here. I'm going to be in touch with some of the people that they mentioned to me a couple of days ago. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on that we don't talk enough about. To the Jon Robinson thing. Actually, let's take John in the Borough's call, and then we're going to actually shift gears here. John in the Borough. John, what's going on?
What's up, guys? Real quick, now I don't want to follow that call. It was a great call. Two things. Number one, I agree with the last caller. You could see on JRob's face just how upset he was. They thought they had all the right pieces, and everything seemed to work against us, and we still seemed to overcome everything, and then it just got snagged away from us. Just bad luck. And I think he's a man on a mission, right? He is a man possessed right now, and I agree with the last caller that you're going to see some stuff that we're going to all go, holy crap, how'd he do that? And then second thing I wanted to ask, JMart, I bought tickets to the Batman for Saturday for my wife and I because Sunday she's getting induced for our baby girl that's coming on Sunday. So I wanted to know, did I make the smart move going ahead getting tickets because this variable pricing thing's got this future new dad worried?
Well, look, here's the thing. You got two things, John, and I'll put you on hold just in case you need to continue to listen. But if you want to see the film, that might be your last chance. If she's getting induced, your life's about to change anyway.
Yeah.
I experienced that back last April. That'd be the one.
Congrats,
so
by
getting
the way, John.
getting the ticket, that's phenomenal. First of all, and hopefully everything goes well.
Yeah.
But you should get the ticket because don't worry about the variable pricing. It's the variable time. It's like, what time are you going to have to go see that after Sunday? If she's getting induced on Sunday and she's good to go and she wants to see it, you're doing exactly the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
You already have the ticket set up for Saturday. That's a great way to you go see that. Hopefully it's good. And then after that, Sunday is going to be, you're not going to worry about the movie after the fact, but you're going to be glad you've seen it because I don't know that you will see it for a month.
Get one more nap in.
Or more than that, right. It's a 2-hour and 57-minute movie.
The longest Batman movie ever, right?
Whoa,
Yes.
It's almost 3 hours?
Yes.
Yeah. No, pretty much it is 3 hours with the
And previews are now 35 minutes on average. So you're talking about a 4-hour experience at the theater.
What?
Buckle up. I might actually go see it tomorrow night then.
I'm thinking about Saturday.
Nah, golly, we got baseball tomorrow night. It's that
Just make
time
sure you
of
get
year.
tickets because I do think it's going to be hard to get
It's a 3-hour movie?
for a few days.
4, Shafe.
Well, yeah, but I
It's
don't
a
worry about
3-hour
the
film.
previews.
You don't worry
You
about
can
the
show
preview?
up when you
No,
want because you
can
have
show up
reserved
whenever
seating.
Right. Yeah, so I don't worry about
Well,
that.
I actually want to get there to kind of see it, settle in, eat my first bucket of popcorn. You know?
First?
Your first bucket?
How
No,
many do you
and-
often eat?
No, I played that up, to being real. I only eat one, but by the time the movie start from the previews, like, most people are usually like 3/4 of the way down in their bucket of popcorn.
I used to be the guy.
You're not?
I used to be the guy that would put it. I would
quarter to
put it
half.
on the ground and not touch it
Straight up.
until the
Oh, no.
opening credits.
Because you know why I'll eat it probably before, like
I
in the
don't eat it
previews
all,
before.
I eat four
because
Werther's original sugar freeze during the movie now.
I don't want to hear the chewing in my head while I'm trying to concentrate on the movie too, because I can't rewind it. You know,
See,
I
my
miss
strategy is kind of
It's a-
like I'll finish it up during the first act
impeccable
of
logic.
the movie, and then I'm really locked in on the second and third act, so I'm good. Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
like I'll munch for about the first. I'm not going to finish that sentence.
Cal Baxter of News 2 provided the audio from the combine yesterday.
Cal.
Here is GM Jon Robinson.
Season ended and you had a second to kind of reassess and you get out your notepad and write down things like what could I have done better? What's on that list?
Yeah, that's what keeps me up at night is the trust that ownership has put in me, our fans, and I mean that stadium was rocking now. And you can only imagine what it would have been like the next week. So, pretty long list of stuff that I got to be better at.
That was Jon Robinson yesterday at the combine. I'm conflicted here. I think that's the word to use. And we all talked about this before the show started. And Schaefer's the one that actually used that term. And I like it. Because there's different levels here. Human level,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of like it because it's
you.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's caught up in the moment there and thinking about how much you cared. And I think one thing that it reveals is where they thought they were going.
That makes sense.
I don't think they thought they were going to lose that divisional game. I think that response, the first thing I think of is Jon Robinson was shocked that they found a way to lose that game. However it happened. We heard luck on one of the calls, whatever. Like, throw that out. They lost the game.
Mm-hmm.
Just like 31 other teams in the NFL season came to an end at some point. Many of them before the playoffs, including the Colts, Zach. And, others that
It was only one team that won the Super Bowl?
There was only one team, yeah.
Are you sure?
Shirtless Sean McVay.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
You bring up a really good point on this. So, like you said, you pull back the curtains a little bit. And I think you see, from my understanding, well, I know this ain't no understanding. Jon Robinson's from this state. Probably grew up when the Titans came to this state the same way that I did. Saw them come in and be like, wow, like we have a team here in Tennessee. He's a West Tennessee kid from O'Brien County, probably saw them in Memphis. In a position now to see himself, who'd ever thought somebody, if you ever been to O'Brien County, Jay, like nobody thinks that they're going to make it to a position like this. Me, I'm from a small town, Lauderdale County. Okay, when people ask where I'm at, I got to tell them the city next to mine to coordinate where I'm from. I'm from outside of Memphis, is what I'll say. North of Memphis is where I'm at. So he's a hometown kid. Being the GM of the biggest, the most known entity besides maybe Vanderbilt Medical or something like that, as far as business goes in this state, the Titans. It's his baby. He cherishes it. He wants to make this state proud by being a part of this organization that gets them to the mountaintop. So, yeah, I think what we saw was a little bit of his fan side come out. We saw a little bit of his human side of being on the job and the expectation that, look, we can walk in. I'm going to walk this team in to a different realm of expectation. And as you heard him bring up the stadium, the people that he himself and the state represent, and watching them embrace this team to where it is elite. And he dropped the ball. Not him specifically, but the performance of this team, I think, is where his emotions is coming into. It's like, this is supposed to be a reflection of me. And I don't know what conversations we had before then, because I would have thought the business side of being a GM, he would have been past this next phase. We had this conversation before. Is what's next? What's next? It's always been that. Like, if I lost, cool, what's next? And I think maybe he talked to Miss Amy beforehand, or they had a meeting at the draft before addressing the media. And they kind of probably had some heartfelt conversations about what's the expectation of who they're looking for as far as the combine and how they're going to get this job done. But you saw a lot of pride in his conversation, and it kind of just took over. Now, like you said, some national guys are kind of just looking at his side eye like, are you really doing this right now?
And I think that's where the conflict comes in, because there's a difference between that's my teammate.
Yeah.
That's my quarterback.
Yeah.
And how that's perceived outside of Dallas, right? Or how it's perceived if you're not a TO guy.
Mm-hmm.
The Jon Robinson situation, if he wants to cry about something, he can cry about his last 2 draft classes. If you want to be just brass tacks about things you can do better.
Yeah.
He's still riding high based on 3 years ago's draft class. He's made some good free agent moves.
Yeah.
And a couple haven't worked out, but I would say that's true for literally every other general manager in the league.
Oh, yeah.
They have
100%.
some hits and they have some strikeouts.
And I think for the most part, a good hit rate is probably 60%.
I'd say that's probably fair. I'd say that's fair.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the better GMs in the league.
Let me add one thing to that real quickly. The most consistent winning period in franchise history has happened with Jon Robinson as general manager of the Titans.
Right, and Vrabel as coach.
That's right. And even more so with JRob, as he had a coach prior to Vrabel that he had with Mike Mularkey there in that first season. But this is a franchise that went from bad and was the dregs there for a period
And
of
the
time.
players have said it.
Yep.
Keith was on last week and said, we were bad.
Bad.
Okay.
And there was nobody in that stadium, relatively speaking.
Yes.
To being good, to now you're a perennial contender. You've won the division twice now. We've seen the growth. And I think what we saw yesterday was the difference and the pressure from that phrase we heard a couple years ago from this franchise of being good to great. And that's the pressure that we saw on that man's face yesterday.
So hearing him talk about the stadium and the reality of what happened that day, do you think his side of it, front office, maybe coaches, I don't even know, maybe players thought we're just going to walk past? You know, like what was the real conversations going into that game? Was it easy street? Because it sounded like you were shocked.
So.
The only reason I said because he sounded like he was shocked.
Well, see that was
losing.
That was my take. I don't think for a second that they thought they were going to lose. I don't think it's because they looked past Cincinnati. I think it's because they believed in themselves. I think there's a difference between Cincinnati's garbage and we're really good. And we're the number one seed for a reason, and watch what we're about to do. And what they did was crap the bed, and the quarterback threw 3 interceptions.
You can't speak for him, but my feeling is he thought he had a team that could go the whole way and win the Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying.
And then the way they lost.
Yes.
With the interception and Burrow able to get them in position and kicking the field goal to win, he had to have been sitting there in that box thinking, we've got the ball, we're kicking a field goal, we're hosting the AFC Championship game next week.
Yeah.
I believe that's the mentality.
Before that third interception, the way the game was progressing and the time that was left, the scoreboard, everything else, we all kind of thought, because we've seen this team do this before so many times, they were going to win the game.
Facts.
The third interception was the most stunning thing about it, because it's like, that's not what this team does. This team ends up pulling out victory from the jaws of defeat. Usually it doesn't go the other way around. When they lose, they usually get beat.
Yeah.
They didn't get beat here from start to finish.
There's so many questions behind this, too.
Well, let's address them after the break, because I know we're late. 615-737-1045. Sean, you hang on. We'll get to your phone call coming. We'll get to you right when we come back. We'll address whatever you have on Jon Robinson, and then we'll get to all these questions. We got plenty of time. We got Will Boling later on. We got Coach Mack later on, but we're going to talk pretty much wide open about this in the second hour of the show. So go ahead and line it up. How did you feel based on what Jon Robinson said yesterday, how he said it, the moment, all that kind of stuff? Did it work for you? And I've seen this in the chat. And this is what some of the national folks are saying. Did you buy it? It's just a question I'm asking. 615-737-1045. It's JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Tired of not being allowed to paint the living room or do all sorts of other just improvements to your home? Are you looking for a situation where you can enjoy having pets, wishing you could repair, upgrade things yourself instead of having to submit some request that you might have to wait months to not even get answered? Renting gets old. Instead of sending your monthly payments to a landlord's pocket, what if you put them to work for you in your dream home instead? Now, buying a home, obviously, it's a huge decision. It's really easy to get overwhelmed and not even begin to know where to begin. But you're not alone. Most people feel like you do, especially if it's the first time. Talking with a mortgage expert can help you get on the right track, can help you understand that process, and help you make the plan that utilizes your best options. As a Southeast's leading mortgage lender, you know who I'm going to tell you about, Mortgage Investors Group. They're here to help you get not just any home loan, but the right home loan. Their team of mortgage experts cares. They're committed to helping you close on time, structure things right, realize your dreams. Maybe that's not a new home. Maybe it's an improvement. Maybe it's a better rate. Let Mortgage Investors Group do the heavy lifting for you. Go to their website today and get the process started, if you would. MIGonline.com. That's MIGonline.com. Find the office nearest you. Start that pre-qualification process that helps you get into that dream home a little bit easier. Or you can text MIG this morning to 31399. The letters MIG to 31399 to get pre-qualified. Mortgage Investors Group, the right home loan. Equal housing lender, license number 109111. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Almost done with 1 hour. It's been kind of a wild hour.
It has, man.
And we got 3 more to go.
Where did jerk chicken come from? Pretty much is how they season it when they jerk the chicken.
I mean, that's not what it is. We discussed this.
What? Why'd you do that?
That's for the new crowd that just showed up. Sometimes we just do.
Everything's all right.
Everything's all right.
We'll take Sean and BG's call. Yeah, we'll do it now. Sean and Bowling Green. Sean, what's up?
What's up, Sean?
Hey, good morning, y'all. Hope y'all having a good Thursday.
Yes,
That JMart thing, or not JMart, I'm sorry, JRob. As a Titans fan, we all want to see our GM, that kind of emotion and fire in his belly and the weight that he clearly carries for this team. Last season was tough because we thought we had a defense that could took us the whole way to the Super Bowl. But with him showing that kind of emotion, he better make sure he's got his nose to the grindstone on this off season, because if it happens again next year, ain't nobody gonna believe a word he says. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it, man. I hope y'all have a good week.
See, there's an interesting point right there.
Mm-hmm.
There's one guy who I really would like to know how he would have reacted to this, and how maybe he did react to it, because I'm sure he probably saw it or heard about it. What do you think Bill Belichick thought of that? He knows Jon Robinson a little bit. He knows Vrabel a little bit. He's from a winning culture.
Yeah.
How do you think he viewed Jon Robinson, somebody he has a lot of respect for?
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Like, I don't know the answer. Like, it's all speculative. But I would just wonder what like a true winning organization would say about something like that. Remember, we talked weeks ago and we disagreed about being there at the airport for the team that lost.
Right, we did. Yep, sure did.
What does a winning organization think? And it's different. I told you, I was like, it's hard for you because the Steelers are a winning organization. The Bengals are not. But in this case, think about the Patriots. That's the team that's been most synonymous with the NFL this century because of Tom and because of Bill. What do you think Belichick thought of Jon Robinson getting emotional in public at the combine sort of out of nowhere yesterday?
It'd be interesting to see what his peers would think. Or
what would your peers have said, Mel? What would your peers in Pittsburgh have said? What would Colbert have said? What would Tomlin have said? What would that brain trust have said?
It wouldn't have. It's different because their experiences is a whole lot longer than what Jon Robinson's is, to be fair. Kev Colbert came from the Lions to Pittsburgh after the fact, after trying to build their program up. Came to Pittsburgh. He's actually a local guy. That same pretty much story as Jon Robinson. And I think those guys that I've been familiar with, it's always, okay, tough luck. Whew, get them next year. And that was just that on that, to show your human side that much in a business that is brutal, that's, as hardcore as it can get. My biggest question is to Sean's point at the end of his call about you asking those things. You asked me how would they have handled it. Now, I can't speak for them directly, but I can kind of assume what they'd say. Well, this changes everything now. After losing like that this past year in the divisional round as the number 1 overall seed on the AFC side, seeing his emotions, and like I said, to me, this changes everything. I think the way he views building a roster, I think it's got to do that. I think the way he judged players as far as trying to keep them or, sign guys, I think it does that. To me, if this doesn't make him a more hardened GM to make tough decisions, to get guys to say, hey, we're going to win, or this is the standard. Look how much I care about this team. Without showing it, I don't think we'll see that from him moving forward anymore. But for this fan base, you got to be looking at Jon Robinson and saying, he got the same passion that I got. Now, show me, to what Sean just said. I think that is the biggest point of it all. If you're a fan of this team, cover this team, watch this team. You say what Sean just said. I appreciate you, Jon Robinson, for doing that. But now show me. Because that's all I've ever said about anything that I've ever done in my playing career. Nothing, there's an expectation, but you better do it too.
615-737-1045. What did you think of the GM's comments, his emotion yesterday about the way the season ended and about his own job and where he needs to improve? We'll play the audio for you again after the headlines, and then we're going to react more because there's just a lot of different avenues that come off of this, both locally and nationally. I know everybody's eyes roll in their head when you think of the national people. National people are going to have a take on this. And it's not going to be a take that you necessarily are going to appreciate, I would say. 615-737-1045. We will talk more when we come back. JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The Seattle Kraken snapped a 7-game losing streak, defeating the Nashville Predators last night 4-3 on the West Coast. Former Predator Colin Blackwell scored the go-ahead shorthanded goal early in the third period, proved to be the game winner. Matt Duchene, 2 goals for Nashville. Roman Josi, 2 assists. Now 500 points for his career. UC Saros stopped 27 shots. Preds have lost 2 in a row, but unfortunately 6 of their last 8. SEC Women's Basketball Tournament at Bridgestone Arena, Day 2 today, Day 1 yesterday, with Vanderbilt defeating Texas A&M 85-69. Jordan Cambridge had a triple-double, 13 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists. Vandy faces number 23 Florida today at 2:30. We will be carrying the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament on the 104.5 The Zone app and at 1045thezone.com. Men's college basketball yesterday. March Madness continues in the OVC with their tournament in Evansville, Indiana. TSU defeated SIU Edwardsville 77-62. Tennessee Tech smoked Austin Peay 78-51. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once. On over the Titans and Vols, this is 1045 The Zone.
Bottom line ticker on ESPN right now says Titans cast eye on drafting quarterback of future. Have met with Carson Strong and Sam Howell.
Oh, wow.
That doesn't mean this coming year, folks. Because he said that to Buck.
Buck and Teron, yeah.
Yeah. Let's play the audio one more time, Shafe. Cal Baxter was the one that we grabbed this audio from News 2. Jon Robinson at the Combine yesterday. Then I see Gerardo and Amarillo. We'll take his call on John. We still want your thoughts at 615-737-1045. This is JMart and Ramon. Here's JRob from yesterday in Indy.
Season ended and you had a second to kind of reassess and you get out your notepad and write down things like what could I have done better? What's on that list?
Yeah, that's what keeps me up at night is the trust that ownership has put in me, our fans, and I mean that stadium was rocking now. And you can only imagine what it would have been like the next week. So, pretty long list of stuff that I got to be better at.
So there's a lot of takes. There's a lot of takes on the chat, and some of them I vehemently disagree with. One was he's just trying to show off to Amy. He's trying to get sympathy from Amy. Amy already gave him an extension.
Yeah.
That's the end of that discussion.
Yeah, he wasn't selling out for that.
Here's the other thing. I said this to you during the break, Moan. Jon Robinson didn't have to get sympathy from the fans because the fans weren't at Jon Robinson's neck for the loss. They were at two people's neck.
Who were they?
Ryan Tannehill and Todd Downing. Whatever order you want to put them in, I think I just put them in the correct order. Those are the two guys that got blitzed. Those are the guys that got bombed.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that got napalmed. Those are the dudes that we took calls on for 2 solid weeks after the loss to the Bengals. Nobody was coming at Jon Robinson's neck. Nobody. Like, how many people were calling for his job? I don't think I heard anyone.
No. Nobody mentioned him. I think you look at, places of deficiency that could have helped out for this team. Wide receiver. you can always backtrack and say, well, if the Isaiah had a hit, you could have got a receiver at this pick this year type of thing, because that was the biggest detriment to Ryan Tannehill and Todd Downing, being completely honest with you, is not enough weapons, healthy enough to continue, this season as far as throwing to the most obvious guys, AJ and Julio at times, okay? There was no tight ends in this offense. Nobody was asking for Jon Robinson to be let go. Now, are we going to talk about his picks? Yeah, we are, but he still has, I think he's got to be above 50% as far as his draft picks go. Again, the biggest take to me from those emotions, I do ask this. I hope there's nothing behind it to where it's personal. But he ended it by saying, as far as his family and, just issues. And
that's all just speculative. We have no idea.
Yeah, none of that. But the last part of it was, I don't think there was a thought in his mind of this team this year in 2021, on the new year of 2022, was going to lose that. And I think if he wasn't, I don't think he thought he was going to lose, one. Secondly, the fact that they did lose, I think professionally for himself, he's got to raise either his expectation about what's real in this game as far as anybody can lose, and you got to challenge your entire staff, Vrabel, the coaches, the scouting department, to say, hey, what can we do to not be in this position again? Because there may have been a feeling that I think it was you or either Shafe that said it on or off air. Well, was this the biggest window for that Super Bowl run?
Well, I mean, one thing
at home too.
Yeah. Well, one thing I said to you during the break, I said, fans aren't going to want to hear this one. I guess I'm just going to say it. If you want to really try to just overread into everything, why do you cry when you talk about what it could have looked like the next week? Because you thought you could win, right? But what's behind you thought you could win? This was our shot. We're never going to get, how likely is it we're going to find the 1 seed again, knowing what we talked about? Nobody's about to own the AFC because there's too much talent all across the conference.
So that's why I was going to say, let me rephrase that for you. How this was your best shot to get it through as far as what the competition now is about to turn into. This was the easiest shot. Because moving forward, you got to look at the teams now. Herbert's probably going to get better.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's is going to get better. Kansas City just retained Bieniemy if he's a part of that plan. They just got better. Cincinnati is gotten better. You got to think Baltimore's going to do better. Baker's going to do better. Vegas is probably going to do better because Josh McDaniels over there. The Patriots have another guy. So to that point, you're saying this was your best shot.
This was the best chance to cash because it was in our grasp to get to the Super Bowl without leaving Nashville.
Yes, buddy.
And now there's one in each conference. How likely is it that you're going to do that again?
So to piggyback off of that again, does this transform the way this team operates? Scouting, coaching.
You need to figure out whoever's scouting offensive line. You need to figure that one out.
Yeah. Yes, this is true. Yes, this is very true.
Gerardo and Amarillo. Gerardo, what's going on, brother?
Buenos dias, señores.
Hey.
Good morning.
So, okay, the narrative that people are coming at negatively as far as, which I get it, this is all about perspective, right? We can only see it from the fan side of it. So, I'm not in any place to say, no, you're looking at it wrong if you're looking at it this way. But, okay, it's hard. I try and put myself in JRob's shoes as far as why he reacted that way. It's hard not to. That guy he wears his emotions on his sleeve. Number one, he's always been that type of guy, and he's so. It's hard if I were to be in his place not to be emotionally invested in that team for more reasons than one, as far as trying to keep his professional life aside from his personal life with that organization.
Mm-hmm.
That organization has done so much for his family as well. Not to bring his personal life into it, but the whole situation with his daughter and the diabetes and the campaign that they did for him and helping them push all that. The motive as far as he's always been. Like y'all stated too, he's homegrown, it's his home state. There's so many little tentacles that it's going to tug at him for more reasons than one as far as just the professional side of it. So you got to look at it from that narrative as well. And number two, you can't BS a BSer, man. As far as him putting on the front for the media, for the fans, for Miss Amy, I highly doubt that's the case, man. You really think the guy's gonna, try and pull that card as far as, we didn't make the Super Bowl, so I gotta let the fans know that, hey, I care this much. Like, no, that's not the case, man. It's obvious the guy wears his emotions on his sleeve. My perspective is I appreciate that, man. I appreciate at least visually seeing that the front office and the ownership cares as much as the fan base does. That's it's hard not to get behind that. It's subconsciously as a fan, you obviously you want it all, but the chips don't always fall your way. But I'm a firm believer as far as the universe roots for certain people. It's hard not to see the storybook ending for JRob in the future, man. As far as the winning the ship, winning everything else, as far as where he's come from, what he's been through with his personal life, I'd legit, as far as the window, concept goes, as far as the Colts, it's hard. The NFL, man, it's any given Sunday, man.
Mm-hmm.
Our team, this organization literally made it 2 years in a row, and the second year with the most ridiculous pass to the point that they got as far as having so many plug-and-go guys. Like, that's something you could literally script a movie out of, dude. Like, as far as how many people came in, that goes to show you the culture and that's changed within that locker room since JRob and Braves have been at the holding the front of it. Like, it's y'all get what I'm trying to say. Like, he's not putting on a front for the media. Like, the dude just wears his emotions on his sleeve. You can like it or not. You can, like, as far as the national media is saying, like, they got saying they're rolling their eyes at it. Like, man, that's cool. But, like, T.O. wears his emotions on his sleeves, and you know what I mean? Like, he did that whole quarterback deal. Yeah, it's because of the simple fact that he was a Cowboy when he did that. He's gonna, every other team's gonna get a chance to dog on them because that's just the running joke of the NFL. Anytime you get a chance to get a jab, the Cowboys can do it. But as far as how the outside perspective is looking at this situation with JRob, man, I don't know if y'all remember, I told y'all the two Cowboy fans that I have here that listen to y'all. Literally, one of them told me, like, man, dude, like, I cannot tell you how much I would die to have freaking Jerry have a GM that could literally wear his emotional things like that. It would at least the perspective of visually for the fans to let them know, like, they care as much as we care. Like, it's all straight business. Like, this is an entertainment. Sports are entertainment until it's not. And it's not for JRob. It's his profession, and he cares that much. But like I said, there's so many other tentacles aside from the job itself that I feel like it's almost like the lid just popped off on him at that certain point in time, and it's cool, man. Like, you know what I mean? But anyway, how much love, guys.
All right, Gerardo.
Appreciate it, Gerardo.
Gerardo with a lot to say. 615-737-1045. That's the telephone number. What is your reaction to the Jon Robinson situation? We still really haven't been able to talk about. The only thing I'll say as we go in the break is it's not for show because I don't think it actually benefited him. It might have benefited him with Titans fans who weren't at his neck anyway. But the way it will be talked about today, outside of this city, is not a plus.
Right.
And I would bet you if you asked him, he's like, I kind of wish I'd done that.
Well, and whether you like it or not, perception is reality.
It absolutely is.
Right.
It absolutely is. And I said this to you during the last break, Moan. I feel like Jon Robinson would have side-eyed that if another GM had done it.
Probably so.
Because he may have gotten caught up in the moment and all that kind of stuff, but
that's
what I'm saying. There's a conflict here. There's a big-time conflict in how to feel about this. So we'll talk about it.
Different from here out.
We'll talk about it when we come back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
When the relief valve on your water heater fails, pouring gallons of water into your finished basement, kind of like on one of those Christmas movies we've seen, or an electrical shortage in your office causes extensive smoke and water damage, or that musty odor indicates you might have a mold problem in that rehab house you just bought. You need a lot more than just help cleaning up. That's why ServPro is your one-stop shop when disaster strikes. Not only do they have the equipment and expertise to clean up damage from fire, water, or mold, but they also offer a variety of construction services ranging from drywall patching and document drawing all the way to complete structure rebuilds. There's just one call you need to make to bring your home or business back to as good as new as soon as possible, too. No matter what happens, ServPro is always ready to help. Call the official ServPro of downtown Nashville operators at 800-ServPro to see how we can help you get back to like it never happened. 800-ServPro. Franchises are independently owned and operated.
Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, lifted up by All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. The website's allfourseasonsgarages.com. Go there to learn more. I had a LiftMaster put in about a little over a month and a half ago. You tell them you heard me talking about it. You want to get the exact same one I got. They will set you up right. Allfourseasonsgarages.com. 615-737-1045. Jon Robinson got emotional yesterday being asked about what he could do better, and he says it's keeping him up at night, and he pauses for a long time. He starts to tear up, saying there's a lot of things that he can do better because he's trying to figure it out, and it shows, all that. And a lot of the local folks are certainly rallying around him. That's my GM, that's my quarterback, all that kind of stuff. I love that he cares this much, da-da-da-da-da. And you have said, Mon, and I think everybody would agree with this, all right, great, now go do it. This year becomes really important.
Yeah.
Because what the kind of conversation you'll hear after the year if they go out and they're, 9-8 and don't do anything in the playoffs again is, I don't want you to cry again at the combine.
Yeah.
That'll be the skeptic coming back. But let's talk about the national response. We'll get to Ben's call. He's in D.C. We'll get to him here in just a second. And I see people immediately say, why do we care what the national media says? That's a fine sentiment to have. Just understand then that nobody wants to hear where's Vrabel in this voting? Where's Derrick Henry in this voting? Why don't they got us at the top of the power rankings? All this other kind of stuff. You may think you don't care, but you care. You know how I know it? Because I see what our numbers look like on Zone TV when somebody in the national media goes off. Because I saw that Buck Rising kerfluffle last year with Keyshawn.
Oh, wow.
All of that kind of stuff. You may think you don't care, but you do because it's validation. In this market, you're in an echo chamber a lot of times with the fan base, right? Titans Twitter. We had Paxton calling yesterday talking about Titans Twitter raising money and doing good things, and that's awesome. But it's also an echo chamber. It's an echo chamber of people that are going to feel a certain way. Doesn't mean they're not going to disagree here and there about the quarterback or this performance or that performance. But they're all going towards the same goal.
Right.
They all have the same aim, and so they understand each other, right? That's how you understand somebody. It's like, what is your motivation? Hey, I'm going for that exact same thing. I'm looking at it with you. Let's go there together.
Right. So for me, before we get to the calls, too, is this. And, at the end of the segment, I was like, Jon Robinson's got to be different. And I think – I guess it's like in the movie Bane, when Bane was like, I was born in the darkness. Or when Batman went in and he was broken. Because that sounds like where Jon Robinson was. Not necessarily broken because you're still up. You live in the team is still pretty in a real good spot. But he's different because he's exposed himself professionally to his peers and to a crowd of people that say, okay, we see you got the love. And I love that about you. I love your passion. But now it's time to go to work and show us. Now it's time to be different in your approach to how you manage this team, which has been really good. But now you turn it up a notch. If you ever get me and I get embarrassed one time, my whole entire time that I got to think about that, because that's what it seems like it was. Like, whoever it was, I don't know who it was that asked the question. But it was Kyle Baxter that put the video out there yesterday that really get Jon Robinson going. And it's like, now that we saw this, now that your heart's on your sleeve, you got it. We see it. Now what are you going to do about it? How are you going to approach this? Do we go get free agents when we need,
Chris
a player?
Harris, by the way.
Chris Harris asked the question. Shout out to Chris Harris. Do you go get the guys to fill in a position that's very needed this offseason? What are you going to do as far as draft, picking the guys that you have to make this team successful and to carry on? Because the point's been made that the AFC isn't getting any easier. And I think the emotions of dropping the ball in the divisional round with that crowd the way it was, it hit him in his feels because he's from this state. He's the GM of this team, one of the most important positions in his organization. And you feel like it's your fault that the ball was dropped, even though you didn't play a single down. I think you say, screw it, run everything into the dirt from here on out. Not only that, but it's now or never every single year for this guy and this team. That's where I'm coming from when I say he's seen now. Well, and it ain't bad.
Well, the other thing is, again, I said, look, this might have been the shot. And you might know in the back of your head, man, this was our opportunity. it's going to be real hard to find our way back to the 1 seed in this AFC.
But let's also say this. Let's provide the other side of that. Look at what the Cincinnati Bengals did.
Mm-hmm.
They won their first game, went on the road, got to the Super Bowl, and were this close to actually pulling off, I think, a great heist and winning it.
Well, my point wasn't about that. My point was more to the effect of, so that's true, right? What you're saying is true. You don't have to be the 1 seed to get there, even though that was the lowest ranked seed that's ever done it, that's ever even made a Super Bowl, in the case of Cincinnati. I think it's this.
What do you mean lowest ranked seed?
It was the lowest seed to reach a Super Bowl in the modern era.
Well,
that Cincinnati team.
No, because the Steelers made the Super Bowl as a wild.
Seed.
The Packers and the Steelers have won Super Bowls as six seeds.
Okay.
They were 4.
No, it wasn't lowest. It wasn't lowest seed. It was the lowest percentage chance before the season.
Right.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, it wasn't the lowest
odds to win it.
Yeah. 125-1 before the year.
Yeah.
I think it's more this. Sometimes it feels like it's your year. And when all of a sudden midnight hits and the slipper goes away and it turns back into a pumpkin, that can be a hard pill to swallow.
Right.
Think about all of the injuries, no business being the 1 seed. Derrick Henry goes down mid-season.
Come back.
AJ's out for over a month. You got a record number of dudes having to suit up and play, and you end up with the 1 seed and you've got it in your house. And Derrick comes back the week for that game. Doesn't it feel like it's your year? Because nothing's been able to stop you.
Facts.
Against all the evidence. The evidence would tell you it's going to be a wrap in terms of you making a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you're going to go on a real bad stretch when Derrick goes out, because you start to think it's not your year because everybody keeps getting hurt, but you keep winning. You keep defying odds. You keep surprising people. You're actually being talked about nationally a little bit. People are starting to say, hey, man, you might want to take this team a little bit more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go out and lose that divisional round game. And it's like, I thought it was our year. It's harder when you make yourself believe something, when you're able to get on that level of a high, because it was kind of hard to feel like a month and a half before that, that's where you were going to find yourself.
Facts. Yeah.
And then when it comes crashing down, that's tough.
It is tough. Which is why I said now that you're seeing, and we'll get to this call, Jay, you got to go harder. You just simply do.
You keep saying that. What does that
Free
mean?
agency, building a team. Not
with what? But that's the question though. How?
What I'm saying, the same way. Now, I mean, we saw Tampa pull it off as far as managing the roster as much as they can. You do what New Orleans do for all I care at this point, to be in the show continuously. What I'm saying by you go harder, you can't just be a middle of the road. Like, you got to be top 2 seeds in the AFC side if you're going to put it out there like that. You got to do what the Rams did by saying, look, I don't give a doggone about a draft pick. I don't care what happens. I want to continuously get to the show. If that's me seeing that, if you're that passionate about getting to that point and saying, I got to be better at my draft picks, I got to have everything in line in place, I don't care about the business of what it says, the cap says I got to do. I don't care about the business of what my draft pick said I have to do moving forward.
So you're saying just go 100 million over if you have to?
Go.
I don't see, that's not reality though.
But it has been for a few organizations.
Not to that degree.
This is what you're saying, Ramon, and you don't even realize that you're saying it, okay? You're going all in, go for it, super aggressive. I get that. This is what a Titans fan hears when you say that. Get a new quarterback right now.
Yes, I agree to that. That's what that means, because if as long as you still got that guy, that's the problem.
That's exactly what you're saying.
You're saying go all in. You're saying go give Aaron Rodgers $75 million and hand him 7 first-round draft
I ain't going to
picks.
do that. You got to have a very interesting contract. But if it say I got to mortgage one guy to get another, fine, I do. I give you 2 firsts for Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, they've got
I give up Derrick Henry
right
to go get another guy.
Okay, now that's a point that you can't just gloss over right there.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, whatever it takes to get the guy that fits the recipe to start winning. Because the truth be told, you got Derrick back. And you lost.
There's a much larger Derrick Henry conversation.
And I don't even blame Derrick
Much
for
larger.
the loss. Because it was the picks that pretty much threw it over the top. Like, let's be real about this, too. Like you said, if that's the biggest take from it all is to go out for a quarterback, yes, I'm saying that. But do you have the cojones to go actually make that happen? Because now you're seeing If you saw me in my weakest, now you're going to see me take your head off.
And see, here's a counter argument to that. He went and got Julio.
Yeah.
He did.
Come on now.
Hold on. Let me finish my point. Okay? We were skeptical of him getting Julio because of Julio's age and his recent injury history.
This show was more skeptical than most.
Anybody else. I'm going to say anybody else.
And let's clear it up, too. After the fact, it's like, yeah, this is cool. This is awesome.
We got on board and said, well, let's hope it works.
Yep.
But the point being is that they need to go out and get a receiver. It didn't work out, but he went out and got a receiver.
He paid big money for Bud Dupree.
Yep.
Big money for Bud Dupree.
Jadeveon Clowney, Vic Beasley. Forget that they washed out for a second. You have to.
And he has been an assassin.
You have to take that away for a second.
Yep.
As you mentioned, he's went out and been an assassin. The point that you're making is you have to go out and keep being an assassin and maybe become the John Wick of assassins.
Yeah.
But he at least has a track record of going for it. Of trying to do it.
That's what I'm saying. When you say he's got to go harder, I'm like, but he goes really hard.
He does.
And
I'm saying,
and the team in the division in Indianapolis that's a mirror image of you that has the same problem at quarterback, seemingly with their fan base trying to buy in that you have with your guy, has a whole hell of a lot more money than you.
So when you say he's got to go harder, he's already gone hard on these moves, which means there's only one other move you can make. Let's be real about this.
Yeah. And I don't know how you make that move.
Because really, you don't have the leverage unless you go down the LA Rams rabbit hole. And I said this to JMart during the break. If the Bengals would have won the Super Bowl and nearly pulled it off, the LA Rams organization would be getting lambasted, destroyed, crushed, crucified, any verb you want to put in there for their strategy. Because we said this.
If they didn't do it this year, it wasn't going to happen. They had to cash this in now.
What Blaine say yesterday, Shafe?
Well, it's just Blaine had said this before previously on the show with Blaine and Mickey is that this upcoming season, this is it. This is it for this team, for this group of players in terms of winning a Super Bowl. This is it.
This group
of guys.
Yeah, this thing gets blown up if it doesn't work this year.
Yeah. Now, blown up is a term that we can debate what that means.
Doesn't mean 53 guys are gone. Doesn't mean the whole starting roster goes. It means this team's going to look radically different.
That was part of the emotion with JRob yesterday. Because he knew, not that they can't win it next year. No one's saying they can't.
Nobody thought Cincinnati was going to make it.
That's exactly the point.
Respectfully, I say
so we have to balance that out. But the point being is that everything was in place. It goes back to what Bill Simmons used to write about long ago on ESPN. That was a gut punch loss.
Yep.
And when you have losses like that, it's really hard to get over the top of them. Really hard. Doesn't mean they can't, because Buffalo had a gut punch loss this year.
I mean, what a great shooter Nick Anderson was. Then he missed 4 free throws in the NBA Finals in the first game. They end up losing that game and getting swept by the Rockets. Only thing he's ever known for.
Oh. So totally,
and he never came back from it. He had the yips after that pretty much from the rest of his career.
Totally understand what you're saying, Ramon, and I'm not saying you're wrong. It's
no, I fully get what you're saying, and it does jump back. We look through a microscope.
Because this is what the fans said for 2 weeks after the loss.
Yep. And that's the same thing. Literally what you said was exactly what I was thinking as Mo was talking about. I'm like, it has to be the quarterback then. There's nothing else. Like, if you want to go harder, then it has to be the quarterback. And then it's just, I don't know there's a Matthew Stafford there. If you heard what Buck said, and if you're seeing what the national folks are talking about at the Combine, they all feel like these quarterbacks aren't moving. That Russ is staying put, that Aaron Rodgers has discovered that his Eureka, the place where he wants to land, that's a fictional place that doesn't exist, and Green Bay is the place that he actually needs to be. And he has come to that decision. Like, if that's the case, who's out there? That guy doesn't exist. Pittsburgh needs that guy too. There's some organizations that could use that guy. I don't know that he's there. I mean, Deshaun ain't coming in the division.
Yeah.
Even if Dolphins are out,
and called out.
All of that, Houston will not move him in the division. You can hang that one up right now. Ben in DC. Ben, what's up?
What's up, Ben?
Hey, fellas, man. I hope y'all doing well. Listen, I think with JRob, the crying and all of that, I think, JMart, you hit on it exactly right, man. I think it was all those injuries and the expectations and Derek going down, and he actually comes back. We all expected them to win that game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was ugly, and despite how bad we were playing through that entire thing, we still had a chance to win it. So I think I know I'm not over it, so I can only imagine that he's not over it. Now, Ramon, I got some beef with you, man. Listen, I'm all for winning the Super Bowl, but what I'm not about to do is go back to the 5-win seasons because we blew it up and then our cap is just in hell. You know what I mean? Like, the South is weak from my perspective. If we can just win the South, we'll get into the playoffs and we have a shot, right? Like, that's all you can ask for. As far as JRob, man, trade that first round pick because we all know what his record is on those. Try to get as much draft capital as possible, and I think he's going to do his thing. I think he's feeling if he's that emotional about it publicly, I think he's gonna produce in the draft, man, and tighten up. That's all I got.
Good stuff, Ben. We'll get to the break. We'll continue to take your thoughts. 615-737-1045. Yeah. And look, it's still raw. It's still raw for a lot of people in this city. And we knew it. We knew it when that game happened. What did we say?
I didn't realize it.
I don't know that we said it on air, but we said it off air to each other all week, the week of that game. You could lose an AFC championship game to Buffalo or Kansas City. You could lose one of those games. But you couldn't lose that divisional game. Because the fans were this close to being fully bought in.
I didn't realize we were.
It's a franchise-defining game. Now, how you respond to it, and it can define about how it's led you to a Super Bowl victory or can go in the other direction. It is potentially a franchise-defining game.
I'll give you an optimistic anecdote to that point when we come back. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Waterproofing. Today's going to be a day where you don't have to worry as much about the wet basement or the crawl space, but I can tell you if that's a problem, if it's something that has caused any kind of issues, you need to get it fixed because it can lead to massive issues, not to mention it's very just disgusting air. 2/3 of the air that you're breathing into your home comes directly from that area, so you need to make sure it's taken care of. And then you need to make sure that the people that you bring out to take a look at it, assess your situation and tell you what's going on, are people that you can trust, people that you believe in, people that you don't think are just out for a buck. They're out for your business. They're out for their reputation. They have integrity and they just want to do the job right. And I'm telling you, United Structural Systems is the only company that you can trust to give you absolutely the honest answers, plus or minus. Sometimes they're going to tell you, it's not as bad as you think. It's just a little bit of a minor fix. We'll take care of it. Sometimes it is a major fix. You don't know, but you at least know that the people are being straight with you, and that's important. They've been here in our area for over 25 years, over 22,000 satisfied residential customers, a 100% customer satisfaction rating. Better Business Bureau, A+. Integrity matters. I'll pay more for integrity, and a lot of times you pay less because they have integrity. There's a lot of different reasons it could be happening. Maybe it's poor drainage or a plumbing leak. Could be surface water that's coming over the walls, or maybe you got some extra underwater pressure that's forcing water into your basement. They're going to tell you what's going on. They have experts with over a quarter of a century of experience in the same place that know absolutely everything. So they'll tell you what's going on, then you get to make the decision. You say, yeah, okay, all right, we got a problem, we need to take care of it. They get to work, they finish it, they know you're satisfied before you ever have to pay a cent. So you got nothing to lose. Make the call today. Here's the telephone number for United Structural Systems, 615-227-2275. That's 227-2275, or online. Visit them there at ussTN.com, my good friends at United Structural Systems. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Interesting song choice. Faith No More.
I actually picked it because the title of the song is epic.
Yeah. The Jon Robinson topic is the topic today because he got emotional yesterday answering a question about the way the season ended. And he says keeping him up at night and all this. You look at around the AFC. I think you do get emotional when you start to think, gosh, chances of getting back are not great. And then you have to wonder, like, how emotional are you if you have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback? How emotional are you if you got Josh Allen right now?
Yeah.
How emotional are you if you got Justin Herbert, who missed the playoffs, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Does it come down to not being sure you've got the guy at quarterback? Saying whatever you need to say publicly because you're kind of between a rock and a hard place when it comes to his money, when it comes to his deal, and when it comes to what's available. You may be drafting a quarterback for the future. I had asked that question a few weeks ago. Would you consider that in the first round? Maybe not, because maybe there's not a first-round grade, but maybe you get the top guy. Maybe he's still sitting there. Who knows?
Yeah.
Depends upon how they fall in the draft.
Right. But whoever that guy is, you're not expecting him to compete for a job in year one. So you're rolling Ryan Tannehill out as quarterback this fall. Everybody has told you that on this airwaves. And Ramon made the point about Jon Robinson. Now that he's done this, he's got to go hard. And we're like, well, I don't know how much harder he can go because he obviously cares and he's doing all these things. And I said, one of the things that clearly needs to happen is he needs a bang-up draft year because he's had 2 poor ones. What did he get out of 2 years ago? Christian Fulton, that's about it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Darrington Evans is barely even on the team.
Yeah.
Not to mention the first, right. Not to mention the first round draft picks. One guy that didn't play, and we'll see. Maybe he's going to end up being great. The other one, pretty reasonable to assume that that's a bust that didn't work and one of the all-time busts. And
right.
Not good. The offensive line 2 years in a row. Dylan Radins gave you 1 start.
Mm-hmm.
1. And look, played okay in that game.
Played well against a real good team on a primetime game.
Well, I was shocked at how well he performed in that game.
And I think they still think he's going to play tackle. And he did okay-ish at left tackle in that game.
Yep.
But I think we're all convinced in this room
he's a guard.
That he's a guard.
But your scouting department, I don't know how it all works, the machinations of. But you've missed a lot recently. And you talk about going hard. Well, part of going hard is also gambling.
Yeah.
And what do you call them? Riverboat JR, Riverboat John, like Riverboat Ron, making deals for Julio Jones, finding a way to get him in here, finding a way to bring Zach Cunningham in, all of these things.
Right.
He's already been incredibly savvy. The money is not on their side this year, not currently. So what does that mean? Like, to go hard, does that mean you got to let Landry walk? So that you've got more money to play with? Do you let Taylor and Roger and Ben Jones go elsewhere and try to fix that in the draft?
Yeah.
Considering how bad the offensive line drafts have been for you in recent years? Like, yeah, okay, you got it pretty right on Conklin, but he's not here anymore.
Uh-huh.
And you got it right on Taylor, but that wasn't you.
Well, you got it pretty much right on Nate Davis.
Yeah, Nate Davis. That's a good point.
He's been a good performer.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But I think that's the problem. The problem is I don't know where the fix comes from. And how likely is it that you're going to be the 1 seed in this conference the way it's currently constructed? And then it all comes back to the same place. This fan base does not believe in 17. We'll talk more after the break. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Matt Duchesne had 2 goals. Roman Yossi 2 assists. Now with 500 points for his career, UC Saros stopped 27 shots. Not enough, though, for the Nashville Predators as they lost to the Seattle Kraken 4-3 last night in Seattle. The Kraken snapped a 7-game losing streak. Former Predator Colin Blackwell scored the go-ahead shorthanded goal early in the third period. Unfortunately for the Preds, they've lost 2 in a row and 6 of their last 8. March Madness is here. Day 2 of the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament today at Bridgestone Arena. Yesterday, Vanderbilt with the win over Texas A&M, 85-69. Jordan Cambridge, a triple-double, 13 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists. Vandy faces number 23 Florida today, 2:30 tip for that. Tennessee will start their tournament run tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena. We'll be carrying the entire tournament on the 104.5 The Zone app and at 1045thezone.com. OVC men's basketball tournament started yesterday in Evansville, Indiana. TSU defeated SIU Edwardsville 77-62. Tennessee Tech with the win over the Governors of Austin Peay 78-51. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 1045 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 3, JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone on this Thursday, March the 3rd, 2020. Deuce.
Hashtag Treacherous Thursday.
It was off the rails early.
Yeah. Were there even rails involved?
I think by 6:02, I was looking at Moan like, be a professional.
You are.
11-year NFL vet, involved for life, Ramon Foster, of course. Jonathan Shea from Jason Martin, at JMart and Ramon on Twitter, 615-737-1045. ESPN put up a piece here a couple of hours ago about the Combine, and it's team by team.
Mm-hmm.
What do they need to do? What kind of draft capital they have? Positional needs, slot receiver, tight end, offensive line, cornerback. Salary cap space, $5 million over the projected cap.
That's the Titans.
Yes, that's the Titans. Rest of the division, I really just care about looking at the Jags have $57.4 million.
Of course they do.
Colts have $38.8 million.
Damn. A lot of cash.
And there wasn't a lot separating those two teams. And certainly the national folks, we don't even need to talk about how they feel about the Colts, right? Because we've heard that movie before.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say one thing about that. You lost to the Jags.
Yes. And that's because your quarterback can't be trusted.
Yeah.
And what I said at the end of last hour was simply that this fan base en masse doesn't mean there aren't individuals, and you might be one of those individuals. I don't believe you when you say you buy into your quarterback. Because what else can your GM actually do, right? Like, yeah, you've had some draft issues, but you were the number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
The defense rose from the ashes last year. The front four was dominant.
Yeah.
Fearsome. Before they were talking about the Rams front four in the Super Bowl, they were talking about yours against Cincinnati and 11 sacks and all of that stuff.
Yes.
All of that's true. You have Derrick Henry. Yeah, he got hurt, but you got Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
You got Arthur One.
Mm-hmm.
You went and paid Julio. You paid Bud Dupree. You let Butler walk and you brought in Janoris and, whatever. I'll call him Jack Rabbit now because of the play he made against San Francisco. Not everything worked, but you found Naquan at least, right?
Yep.
Naquan was able to step in and play well. Molden was a decent draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
Fulton had a pretty nice year. Like, you look across the board, a lot of things were right, and you have an excellent head coach. So what's the common denominator when it comes down to the teams that you believe in and don't believe in? It ain't a wide receiver, folks.
Nope.
It ain't a running back.
Wasn't the O-line at Cincinnati.
It's not even a dominant pass rusher like Aaron Donald, because they still had to go get Matthew Stafford to win a Super Bowl.
Who?
Right. You may not want to hear it, but that's how I've read it since that loss. That game was Ryan Tannehill's opportunity. You tell me if I'm wrong on this, Mo. That was Ryan Tannehill's opportunity to change the perception and the narrative around him.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, he reinforced the same narrative that already existed among those that were skeptical that never let Miami go.
Yeah. And that's a tough place to be at. The first pick, whether you want to call that scheme, whether you want to call that tendency, after it happened, I think everybody said, well, yeah, they always throw it right there. You know? So did Ryan look him down, look the wide receiver down, and had Bates just break on the ball like that? I think it was the third one where it just popped up like, why did you throw it right there? In the biggest game this organization I feel like has had in a very long time, as far as being at home, and hearing Jon Robinson yesterday say, did you see that crowd? What did he say? It was rocking. It was rocking is what he said. That stadium. Hey, that game is probably the reason why they realized they needed stadium renovations, because the concrete couldn't hold up anymore. You know, I'm saying that in a joking way, but that's how electrifying that game was. And to have it drop off the way it did, because, again, when people started, trying to break this game down on why and what had happened, to your point, they didn't really fuss about the run game, even though it was our point to be like, man, look, maybe it should have been Deontay Foreman that got the reps. In hindsight, that's what we say.
And maybe 22 shouldn't have even come back until next year.
Wait one more round, maybe. But to Jon Robinson's point, that stadium was rocking.
Sure was. I was there.
And the reception that you got from when 22 ran through is what you were looking for when the idea of him coming back. But it all fell flat because of 3 interceptions by Ryan.
It was the trend for them all year.
Yep.
They could compete in any game.
Mm-hmm.
Turnover differential.
Turnover differential absolutely destroyed them. Destroyed them.
Yep.
And who handles the ball the most? That's the quarterback. Who had more interceptions. That's true. Who had as many interceptions, if not maybe one more, last year than the 2 years previous.
Before we take Ali's call, is this. Ticket prices went up.
Of course they did.
People came from out of town for this experience. And the letdown of that game, God, I feel like it's the Monday after again.
The fan base had not been like that for 20 years.
And you got to appreciate John coming out and I think that's the start of the rehab for the offseason, if we're being real. Seeing him being just like them.
So was that the cathartic moment in order to start moving
on? We'll see, because you can compare it to two things. One, a fart in church that's not going to matter after next year if they don't do it. Or Tim Tebow after the loss to Ole Miss.
Oh.
In the locker room. You will never see a team play as hard as we will. That whole deal. You know what happened that year?
They won.
Oh, they didn't lose again. They won the national championship, and there's a statue in Gainesville of Tim Tebow.
With that speech on it.
Real quickly, somebody said on our Twitch chat, actually, can they be Virginia, who was the first 1 seed to lose to a 16 seed
that
ever?
was the analogy I was going to make at the end of last hour and forgot to do. That's absolutely the metric for this.
They came back the next year and won the national title?
They were the first number 1 seed to lose, lost to UMBC, and then came back and beat Texas Tech. And it was Tony Bennett who didn't let them quit. Their head coach said it point blank to them in the locker room. He said as they went to their preseason stuff the next year after losing to the 16, we're not going to forget that chapter of the book. We're not going to shove it under the rug and say, oh, that didn't matter, blah, 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 new season, all this. We're not going to do that. That's part of our book forever. That's a chapter that's been written. But the good news, gentlemen, is it's not the end of the book. There's more chapters that can be written.
Mm-hmm.
So you look back on that, you understand that was a failing. Look, we came up short. but we have another opportunity. And that's the same thing as you were talking about earlier, Moan. Next up.
Mm-hmm.
Next up. What did we say the day after the Super Bowl? I wore my Broncos jacket in. You know why? Because it's a new season, baby. It's the off season now.
Yep.
The Rams might be defending champions, but everybody's back 0-0 now.
Mm-hmm.
There was only 1 second where they were really only the champions because the game ended and you heard the deal. And then from that moment on, every other fan base is like, let's do it again.
Yep.
Let's run it back. Let's do what we have to do to find our way back. Ball and Ali, what's going on, brother?
What up, JMart?
Morning.
Hey, man. This is how, like, I took a hiatus of listening to you guys just because how the season ended.
Mm-hmm.
But for the first time ever, I'm actually agreeing with JMart. this fan base, for me personally, I'm not in on Ryan Tannehill at all anymore. Like, this is 3 years in a row, like, where it counted on him in the playoffs, and he didn't show up. What a crazy stat for your quarterback. He's 0-3 when he throws more than 15 pass attempts in the playoffs. Like, that's not cool. And I get all of JRob's, like, emotions and stuff. But, bro, I don't want to see that. Draft some players that are healthy, that can play. Not they're going to be on the bench for 8-12 weeks out of the season. Like, I get the whole emotion. You're a fan of the team, blah, 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 blah. But draft some players that Vrabel can use. But when it comes to Ryan Tannehill again, he might, in the regular season, he might show us like, oh, crap, here we go again. But honestly, until he shows us in the playoffs that he's not the Ryan Tannehill of Miami when the pressure's on, I'm out on that guy.
Wow.
There it is. There it is right there. Ali is as Titans lover as you find.
I'm talking about Ali travels.
Right.
To see this team.
Right. That last sentence is exactly what I feel like the majority of the fan base deep down knows about themselves, which is I don't believe in that guy.
One story to go along with that real quick, because I actually watched the game with Cousin Andrew, the Bengals-Titans game, and he had one of his friends there who's a Miami Dolphins fan.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew and I were like, yeah, Titans could win by about 3 or 4, but it's probably going to come down to the final minutes, and that was our feeling. But we think the Titans are going to win. His friend, whose name escapes me right now, said, yeah, I don't think so. And we're getting on him going, what are you talking about? This is the Bengals. And these are the Titans. He said, I watched Ryan Tannehill in Miami. And whether it's fair or not, especially outside this fan base.
And it really isn't.
And it's not. That's following this guy around.
Sure is.
Not fair, but it's following him around. So when you have performances like what we saw, it reinforces an unfair perception on this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And again, because we saw what we saw in the divisional round game, there's no evidence for you to say what you just said to the Nashville guy or for the fans outside of Nashville and for them to buy it.
Right.
That's your problem. Will Boling from the Combine.
Willard
will join us after the break. We will talk to him about this, certainly, as well as what he's observing over there. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. So spring unofficially feels like it's here. It's still a couple of weeks officially away, but now's the time, right? We were near 80 yesterday, at least according to my car temperature. So how's your air conditioning doing at home? Is it ready for the heat that's coming? Maybe it's time for an HVAC professional to check it out. I had my pals over at Lee Company come out last fall. They put one in upstairs, and just yesterday we had to be up there because we were having the countertops done, and so it was like glue smell and stuff, and we're upstairs, and it was so very, very comfortable. Lee Company's got you covered. One of their expert techs will come out, give you a 22-point inspection, seasonal cleaning and maintenance, help you stay ahead of the changing weather. And then anytime they're in your home, they have a visual findings platform. After they leave, I always get an email from Lee Company within an hour or so. Here are the photos and videos from your visit. They take photos. They also send you a video of what their techs are seeing. So you actually get to see what was done. You get to see what they saw. They can take you everywhere they go. It's like playing GoldenEye on 64. It's fantastic. First-person shooter stuff, Halo stuff. Don't let your air conditioning fail this spring. By the way, Halo, Lee Company or Angels. Call Lee Company, 615-567-1000. That's 567-1000, or go to leecompany.com/promotions to get your discounted cooling system tune-up today. Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. We're doing a debate right now on TV about what team needs to trade for Russ. Dan Graziano says the Colts. Titans fans wouldn't care for that, I imagine.
No.
Steelers are in that crop of teams that people think could try the Rams idea.
First time in a long time Pittsburgh has actually had money as far as the offseason goes.
But going all in and giving up draft picks to get him potentially for a few years. I don't sense that will happen, but it's interesting. Marksman Real Estate Hotline brings us Will Boling from the Combine in Indianapolis. Will, what's going on, brother?
Good morning, friends. How are we this morning?
We're doing pretty well. So just tell us off the start what you think of what Jon Robinson, that whole situation that happened yesterday with his comments and getting emotional about the end of the season and his own job.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, and I think it speaks to the fact that Jon Robinson kind of analyzes things and views things in the same lens the fans do. Because I think there's a lot of fans that when they still think about how close the Titans were to winning that game and how much they should have won that game, that probably have the same reaction, right? They're tearing up a little bit. But, I think the thing that I come back to is he doesn't sound like a guy who, is just throwing up his hands saying, well, Ryan Tannehill is our quarterback. I guess we're stuck for a couple of years. I think it kind of strikes me as a guy that knows how close this team is and is ready to, here at Indy and for the rest of the offseason do whatever he can to get those interceptions out, and make that extra step, whatever that looks like this offseason. But, it's always cool when our players, our coaches, our front office guys kind of feel the same emotions as a fan base. It's kind of rare, but I think Jon Robinson certainly is in that category.
Why do you think he got emotional? We've gotten into it in a number of different ways, and it's a weird look. The national guy's going to say one thing, Nashville is going to say another. My own hypothesis is he felt like maybe it was their year because it didn't feel like it had any business being their year. And then they end up with the 1 seed. They end up hosting a Cincinnati team. They got a chance to host the AFC Championship game. And Derek comes back. Like, a lot of people weren't sure that was going to happen, and now he's back. And you look at the AFC, Will, and you look at these quarterbacks, Herbert and Mahomes and Allen and Burrow. There's talent. There's so much talent. There's so much depth across the conference. Was this your best shot? And you get emotional knowing getting back is going to be really, really hard.
Well, I think it's that, and I think the other aspect of it is the fact that we saw Derrick Henry be a mere mortal this year. We saw him break down with an injury that would also break down every other running back in the league, and we don't often have that conversation about Derrick Henry being compared to other running backs because he's such an otherworldly kind of character at that position. So I think that's a part of the equation as well, and the fact that the window always closes quicker than you think it is going to. And Jon Robinson knows that. He knows that with this core, he doesn't have a lot of chances to win with this specific group of guys. And I think that's probably what trips him up and gets him emotional more than anything is not the fact that he's not going to have more chances to host a playoff game and to maybe be the 1 seed. But I think some of these coaches and some of these front office guys get in the heat of that battle and have such a connection to that specific group of players, right? You hear so many coaches after seasons and after games say, take a look around. This is the last time that this group of players will all be in the same room under this context. And I think guys like that have been around, that know what it's like to win a championship and have seen that process, they want it so badly for that specific group, knowing that they're going to have more chances down the road. But for that specific group of guys, probably not. So, the context of when that happened for Jon Robinson, he had talked with Buck on his show, goes to the podium, and that was kind of the sidebar session with the local media. So it was kind of the last round of conversations he was having in his car wash, so to speak, I guess, for that hour, for that half hour, whatever it was. And, I just think he kind of wore him down, and, we got the authentic JRob there at the end for sure.
Well, thanks for coming on with us this morning, Billiam. But you're a guy, man, that you're from the state. You embrace the state. Tennessee, Titans, Vols, all across Preds, soccer club, man. And the expectation that JRob has kind of set for himself after this moment yesterday. What's got to change, though, Will, to continue moving forward in this above the line organization where, we say the national media respects you. The underdog mindset's got to go. What's got to change from here on out?
Well, I think in order to kind of shed that mindset, you're going to have to win a game like the one you lost a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago at this point. It's going to take one of those being on the other side of things, I think, for all of us and for guys like Jon Robinson to get over it and to not be emotional when they think about it. But, I think on top of that, the theme of this entire offseason is going to be exactly what we saw this time last year, just on the other side of the football. Everything last year was about how do you fix this defense? How do you get off the field on third downs? How do you make Shane Bowen comfortable? This year, it's how do you make Todd Downing and Ryan Tannehill comfortable? How do you take the framework and the foundation of what you built here and make it sustainable in the postseason? I don't know what that looks like, because that could look like a number of things. It could look like investing in the veteran offensive linemen you have, trying to give them, keeping the guys you have, bringing back Ben Jones and getting a bunch of young weapons on the outside and probably letting go of Julio Jones. Or you could go the route of, you spend a little more money on your wide receivers, you cut the left side of your offensive line, you get a new center in free agency, and you bet on the fact that better weapons on the outside make younger offensive linemen more comfortable and better. It's the similar, kind of cost analysis that Jon Robinson did last year and saying, all right, well, younger DBs are going to be better with more expensive front seven. And with a front seven that can get after the quarterback and make their lives a lot easier, he's got to make a decision with this offense and say, would we rather have cheaper offensive linemen that are, going to be helped by the fact that Ryan Tannehill can get the ball out of his hand quicker to a better cast of characters on the outside? Or would you rather have a better offensive line that with more time to throw, cheaper wide receivers and tight ends and weapons can have a better time? So I think ultimately one of those two avenues is where we're going to fall here. I think you got to commit to one or the other and figure out how do you get the most value out of the guys here in Indianapolis, but also the best value out of a pretty good crop of wide receivers in free agency as well.
So when it comes down to this era of the offseason, combine, evaluating, if we kind of peel back a little bit and say, okay, we saw the emotions of JRob and what his expectations are. The failure of the divisional game it came forward yesterday to where you said it. The media broke him down to where we got that. But the part where you got to charge him is the people behind him, the scouting department. How do they have to start evaluating talent, Will, to where you're not just getting the injured guy? If there's a really good injured guy, and I know it worked for Big Jeff, but you got to change your mindset of what you're looking for now starting at the draft. Would you think that?
Yeah, I think so, and I think Jon Robinson and Mike Vrabel are just happy to be able to sit down face-to-face with prospects. I mean, I don't know if Isaiah Wilson is picked to be a Tennessee Titan if that interview, that whatever interviews and meetings that he had with Titans isn't virtual, right? I think Jon Robinson is a guy he loves the face-to-face aspect of sitting down, shaking a guy's hand, and looking at the way that a guy looks you in the eye when you're one-on-one in a room and not looking over a computer screen. So I think that's first and foremost what this organization, what this team is really excited about, to just kind of get back to normal there. But I think on top of that, this organization and this front office has been in place long enough now to where they have an identity of the kind of player they are drafting to. That probably wasn't the case in the early years of Jon Robinson's tenure here, because he hadn't been here long enough, right? I mean, at that point, you were looking for a couple of years that you could sustain some success, and you were going to get it whatever way you could. Now we know the type of mold that he is looking for at most of these positions. And I think specifically at the wide receiver position, looking back at what Alabama receiver John Mechie said yesterday about how downfield blocking is one of the most fun things that he does in football, and talking about how, I love that because that's how you break explosive plays in the run game. That's how you win football games. And at the end of the day, that's what I care about. Like, I feel like if Jon Robinson could make a quote for a prospect, it would be that one. Like, hey, I'm going to build an interview for the way an A-plus interview is going to sound at the Combine. I think exactly what John Mechie said yesterday is the prototypical Jon Robinson guy, and that's the one guy that jumped out the most to me as a perfect fit for this organization and its culture.
Well, I know they've talked to a couple of quarterbacks up there. I had asked weeks ago. I asked a couple of different guests whether or not they would consider a quarterback in the first round, not to take over in year one, but they've got to look to the future. And that even showed up on ESPN this morning as a topic from the Titans, that they are looking to find a quarterback of the future. How interested do you think they are in watching some of these guys this week?
I think they're pretty interested, and I think looking at the past couple of years and Jon Robinson's history and recent history of drafting from the Senior Bowl, I think you're looking at that group of players. I think you're looking at a Desmond Ridder at Cincinnati is probably the front runner in that group to me, a guy that probably fits this organization the best right now. I think this is a third or fourth round kind of conversation about the quarterback position. I think first round, when you've gone your last two first-round picks and two guys that, one of them through fault of their own, one of them not at all because of injury and Caleb Farley, but you haven't had a first-year impact out of either of your last two first-round picks. It just can't happen again for a team that is expecting to win now and has a running back whose, best days might be behind it. Let's face that as an honest conversation at this point, that Derrick Henry might have already had his best season. It's probably likely that that's the case. So I think the theme of the offseason, if it's how do you make Ryan Tannehill comfortable, you've got to give him an opportunity to succeed with something to help him out in the first round. I think of some of these tight ends, some of the wide receivers that are going to be available. I think very likely offensive line in that first round to help round out this entire offense. But I think the third-round pick would be really interesting at the quarterback position just based on what the Titans could do in free agency. You look at Isaiah McKenzie or a Byron Pringle and, some of these slot guys you could get for $3-4 million on a 1 or 2 year deal per year. You bring one of those guys in, your needs change going into the middle rounds. You don't have to round out as much of your draft board, and you can go get a guy like a Velus Jones in the 4th or 5th round that can help you as a specialist as well. So, I'm specifically looking at that third-round pick at quarterback. I think that's really interesting and would kind of follow the Kyle Trask path that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers used as well. I think it's a pick that would make sense if they're going to go that route.
So slot target or tight end in the first round, if it's between those two positions, which one would you favor?
I would favor a slot because I don't think, talking to Rep Ryan, talking to some of the other people here, there's not an overwhelming tight end number one with a first-round grade in this group. And I think when you got a guy like David Njoku sitting in free agency that you could have for $5-6 million for a year, I think you probably go the free agent route with your first tight end, see who else is available there as a secondary option that you can bring in and develop. But I think at the wide receiver position, it's really, really good at the top of this class. And I think Traylon Burks and John Mechie are the two names I'm really looking for. And Burks is probably a guy that's gone at 26. Mechie probably, is going to be around that point, but possibly will be as well. Jahan Dotson at Penn State is another guy who I think would be really interesting there. But, I think the conversation about the Titans the past couple of years when they've lost guys to free agency has been really interesting because they've often never replaced those guys. When you think about Logan Ryan leaving, it took the Titans another draft class before they went and got Elijah Molden and really replaced him. Jarrell Casey, the Titans replaced him with Danico Autry. It just happened, 2 years later going into last season. Titans never really replaced Adam Humphries last season, a guy that was hurt a lot, obviously, at the end of his time in Tennessee. And it didn't have a massive impact in his last season in 2020, but still a guy that, the Hunter Renfrows of the NFL have become so in vogue with the route trees they can run and the things they can do between the numbers in order to create space. That's where Ryan Tannehill's most comfortable, is between the numbers, throwing those quick routes with a guy who he's developed timing with over time. He didn't have any of that last year. He didn't have the timing to be able to develop some kind of rhythm with a lot of his guys when Julio was out, when A.J. Brown was out for portions of training camp. So I think that role is really important for this team. And if you can get that in the first round and one of those slot receivers, I think that's absolutely the direction.
So I got to mention this just because I've put this out here for a couple of weeks now just to get your thoughts on it. As you talk about the slot target, and maybe just because of the wealth of talent in the draft, maybe you do prioritize this differently. And Dotson is a name we're hearing a lot, and Dotson certainly looks like he would be a good fit. He's a small guy, but so is Tyreek Hill. And Tyreek Hill, it's working out pretty well for him in the NFL. But the guy that I keep looking at is Juju Smith-Schuster. Because he's going to be another guy. It's probably going to be a 1-year try to prove it deal because he's coming off an injury, but he was doing 1 for 8 last year. It took less money to go back to Pittsburgh than to go to Baltimore. But they're expecting another about 7-8 million this year to have him. What do you think about the idea of pairing him up? We know what he looks like when he's got a number one wideout with him. Now, he didn't have to be the number one guy here. AJ's the number one guy here. He can play the slot. He's an incredibly hard-nosed on-the-field football player. I just think that's a match potentially made in heaven in terms of a wide receiver tandem with him and A.J. Brown.
I think you're absolutely right. And we talked about this a little bit last week, too, because when you build a player on either side of the football for Jon Robinson, if they have versatility to play in multiple spots, then Jon Robinson has entered the chat, so to speak. And I think that's the guy that, he can play outside, he can play inside. If you have injuries in your wide receiving core, he can be a number one if he has to be, but he's at his best as a number two. And I think at this point, when we talk about making Ryan Tannehill comfortable, how do you also make Julio Jones comfortable and sustainable for an entire season? Well, you make him be more efficient, less snaps, and more looks when he is on the field by getting a guy that can be that number two and take the pressure off of him to be the guy that he's been for his entire career. I think it's an excellent point, a guy in Juju that can run a lot of routes, that can do a lot of things for you between the numbers. I just want speed on this offense. I mean, they've got the big bruisers. They've got the physical wide receivers. I think you complement those guys more efficiently long-term by getting them speed and quickness in the inside to complement what you have on the outside with A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. So I like it. I think it's it's certainly a good shout.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else, Bob?
No, I just want to know if he's been baptized by Coach Mack and taken to St. Elmo's.
There you go.
Come on, Will. We got to get you a steak and a shrimp and shrimp cocktail. Come on, man.
Man, I really do. I told them the other day, I was like, I'm going to need my first experience there. There's no doubt. Then again, I think for most experiences that one can have in life, when Coach Dave McGinnis is a part of those experiences, it is magnified tenfold. I mean, everything is better when that man is, is making jokes over your shoulder and yelling stuff at Buck and Rhett, in the process. So, yeah, it would be perfect.
It would. You got to go to St. Elmo's with Coach Mack. Tell him.
St. Elmo's is fire.
Well, we're staying.
Elmo's. What is Elmo's?
I can walk there in 2-3 minutes. So I just want to, thank you guys for having me on now, too, because the offensive linemen are talking right now. And, JMart, we both know that we don't need to really hear from that much from those guys. So, I appreciate it. I only want to talk to one offensive lineman right now.
Okay.
Jeff Schwartz, is he up there?
Okay. All right. I got you, Will. I know what kind of car you drive.
Love you, buddy.
Well, we'll have fun, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, indeed. That's what
Buck laugh. I love it.
615-737-1045. To the David Njoku point, I brought up his stats. We'll talk a little bit about his actual numbers. Maybe a few birthdays. When we come back, JMart and Ramon, 1045 the song. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Julie Bowen's 52, Moan.
Julie Bowen, get him to the Greek.
Nope.
Big Lebowski.
Modern Family, Happy Gilmore.
No. Modern Family, Happy Gilmore. Yeah, I know those movies. I didn't know her.
Jessica Biel is 40.
Jessica Biel, You've Got Mail. I saw JT's wife, Justin Timberlake's wife.
There you go.
You got that right.
Hey.
Although it doesn't make up for You Got Mail.
Yeah, that's Meg Ryan.
Yeah.
That's Meg Ryan. Only Meg I know is Griffin.
Shut up, Meg.
Shut up, Meg. That's good.
Tone Loke's 56.
Hey, now.
Funky Cole Medina.
Funky Cole Medina.
David Faustino is 48.
The only David I know is Foster, my uncle.
That's the only David you know.
No.
That's the only one.
David Faustino. SEAL Team 8. Captain America.
Bud Bundy, Married with Children.
Is that Bud? Is it really?
Yes.
Say his name again.
David Faustino.
The first one? David Faustino.
The first David Faustino?
You said Bud Bundy? Or?
There was only one Bud Bundy.
Yeah, there's only
Bud.
one.
Oh, we're talking about the son. Okay, never mind.
Who were you talking about? The neighbor? You talking about Steve becoming Jefferson Darcy?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
A couple sports ones we'll just throw out real quick. Jackie Joyner Kersey, 60. Herschel Walker is 60. And could probably still dominate 85% of the league.
Yeah, he'd probably fight guys right now.
Athletic reporting, the Bills are interested in Gronk.
Yup.
How about them apples?
Is he really going to play?
I don't know. Speaking of tight ends, David Njoku has been mentioned by several folks.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little bit down list in terms of what you could get him for as opposed to a Dalton Schultz or somebody like that. This is going to command more money, or Mike Gesicki. 2017, rookie year, 32 catches, 386 yards, 4 touchdowns. 2018 was his best season. 56 catches, 639 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then he had 1 start in 4 games in 2019, had 1 touchdown and 41 yards for the year. 2020, 13 games, only 5 starts, 213 yards, 2 touchdowns. And this past season had 36 catches for 475 and 4 touchdowns. For his career in 5 years, 1,754 yards and 15 touchdowns. It's not like he's all world.
Right.
He's all potential team. He's a guy, every year you think he's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And he has not been able to really break out. The closest was that 2018 year. Doesn't mean that that's not in him. He's only 25 years old.
Right.
He'll be 26, I guess, by the time the season would start. But you're hoping that the potential gets realized if you believe in such things.
Mm-hmm. He's an athletic freak. He has all the measurables, the jump balls. He's a threat, and it's almost like just get him to a full season, find an offense that works for him and complement him, and you're going to see the potential come out. Like, that's who he is. I never forget him coming into the league, oh, we got our hands full. And then he get injured or bad offense or just a bad team. It's just like, God, David, if you could just do those things. But you'll see him in the back of an end zone just maul somebody real quick. Like, that's what you're looking for. If you get 5 of those a season from a tight end, though, I think that's a win.
Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com says that the Browns are going to do everything they can to keep him. They don't want to lose him.
See what I'm saying? Like, but what he hadn't done a lot, but it's still the threat of him doing something.
Yeah, it's hard to give up on somebody.
Yeah.
Right?
Who's been a late bloomer in the league that you're like?
I mean, Tannehill would be one of them.
Tannehill would be one.
It would be somebody like that. It'd be a Rich Gannon type. Somebody. A lot of times I think it's a quarterback.
Yeah, usually we watch that position more.
That's able to look, to some extent, Derrick Henry was a bit of a late bloomer because it took him a few years before he really began to round into form. It's not like he just came off the bus and was trucking people in the NFL. It took a little while.
Like if Corey gets it together in New York, you're like, okay, yeah, he was a late
Corey
bloomer.
would be a late bloomer. Yeah, definitely he would be a candidate. For
Might
sure.
help him if you had a quarterback.
I mean, he has a quarterback.
Yeah.
There is
better
one on the
quarterback.
roster.
There's more than one on the roster.
Carl and Dr. C, your phone calls after the top of the hour headlines. Both of you want to talk Titans, maybe JRob, maybe other. We'll take whatever your thoughts are. We'll be back with the fourth hour plus Coach Mack in 20 minutes from Indy. It is JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
9:03, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Late night hockey last night. The Seattle Kraken hosting the Nashville Predators. Kraken snapped a 7-game losing streak, defeating the Preds 4-3. Former Predator Colin Blackwell scored what proved to be the game winner, a shorthanded goal early in the third period. Matt Duchene, 2 goals for Nashville. Roman Josi, 2 assists. Josi now 500 points for his career, which is quite an accomplishment for a defenseman. UC Saros stopped 27 shots for the Preds, but they've lost 2 in a row, 6 of their last 8. Day 2 SEC women's basketball tournament today at Bridgestone Arena. You can catch the entire SEC women's basketball tournament on the 104.5 The Zone app and at 1045thezone.com. Yesterday, Vanderbilt defeated Texas A&M 85-69. Jordan Cambridge a triple-double, 13 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists. We'll take on number 23 Florida today at 2:30. OVC men's tournament yesterday in Evansville, Indiana. TSU defeated SIU Edwardsville 77-62. Tennessee Tech over Austin Peay 78-51. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? 4th hour, hashtag fastest 4 hours in radio is upon you, upon us, plus to bring it to you courtesy of All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. The website's allfourseasonsgarages.com. Make sure you go there and learn more. It's one of the cheapest ways to step up your home game is to add a garage door. Maybe you can add it to an outdoor living space. There's a lot of creative things you can do. You can find those things on the web, or you can ask them because they're the experts. Allfourseasonsgarages.com. Great people. 615-737-1045. Coach Mack from the Combine in the next segment. Talked a lot, obviously, about Jon Robinson's comments. Let's play him one more time. Let's reset real quickly here in just a second. Jon Robinson yesterday at the Combine answering a question from Chris Harris, WSMV, about the way the season ended, his own job, and there's been a lot to talk about here because of how he responded. If you have not heard it yet, here it is.
Season ended and you had a second to kind of reassess, and you get out your notepad and write down things like what could I have done better? What's on that list?
Yeah, that's what keeps me up at night is the trust that ownership has put in me, our fans, and I mean that stadium was rocking now. And you can only imagine what it would have been like the next week. So, pretty long list of stuff that I got to be better at.
You know what would have been funny? It's even like you can only imagine what it would have sounded like in our brand new $2 billion stadium. I'm just kidding. Carl in the borough. Carl, what's going on?
Hey, Mo. Hey, Jay. Jay, morning.
Morning.
Hey.
Morning.
Just what Robinson said, after that divisional loss, we talked about trust, continuity, and confidence in his weapons for Tannehill. I don't know if we can afford Schuster and Joker would be great tight end for us, and also get one and drop the tight end because there's a lot of good tight ends in this draft. I like the kid from Texas A&M. They block and they can catch. If we can get both of those, that's fine. If Schuster's there, cool. But if we have Jones still, Julio, and we want to get Tannehill a weapon and get him that security blanket that he had. Let's go back to his days in Miami. How about Jarvis Landry? Let's talk about in Cleveland. I don't know if they're going to let Njoku go. I don't know if we can get a trade to trade Julio Jones for Jarvis Landry, make something work. But we have Landry, Schuster, and Brown out there, and a tight end that stays on the field, and all the packages that can block and catch. We telegraphed everything that we were going to do. Everybody knew what we were going to do. And like I said, we could change so many things, different substitutions, because we had a tight end that couldn't block and catch. So they knew what we were going to do. But you got Njoku or even Ertz. Jay was saying Ertz a couple of weeks ago. He would be a good tight end there, too. He can catch and he can block. If you get those weapons, that's it. And like I said, this window is closing. We just got to run it back. We got a franchise tag.
Harold.
Oh, my God. Yeah, we have to do that because I don't know how long we'll be able to keep the offense and the defense together after next year. So you put all those things around Schuster, great. A tight end that can do both catch and block, and do that Jarvis Landry, that would make, I think, Tannehill very happy. And then we just go and see what we do. I'll talk to you guys. I'll listen offline.
All right, Carl.
That was good of a call we've had as far as a breakdown on what you want to do with a team, Carl.
In terms of Jarvis Landry, Kevin Stefanski yesterday at the Combine basically said he's gone. And the GM, Andrew Berry, on Tuesday said he was grateful for everything Landry had done in Cleveland. You know what that sounds like?
Appreciate you.
I'm out.
Yep.
Stefanski said to the Akron Beacon Journal yesterday, with all of these things, you wait and see how it plays out. I think you guys know how I feel about Jarvis. I know Jarvis knows how I feel about Jarvis. We'll see how it all plays out. I think you've seen countless examples of this is a business. I think the players understand that. Sometimes there are situations that are hard. We'll work through all of those. Ultimately, we just have to let this one play out. Unquote. He's gone.
That's what it sounds
Entering
like.
the final season per Pro Football Talk, 5-year, $75.5 million deal he signed when he was moved from Miami in 18. Has a $16.4 million cap number. Browns would save $14.9 against their cap if they released him. $1.5 million in dead cap money if they chose that route. Last year, 52 catches, 570, and 2 touchdowns is what Landry is.
Yeah.
They're going to release him. Like you can tell just how they're talking, and it doesn't make sense from a financial standpoint for them to keep on there.
You want to talk about a dog?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We've been in meetings specifically about him.
He's got a little Juwan Jennings in him.
And coach be like, if you get caught on film with him in your grass, he's going to dog you out.
I'm going to the air app.
Yeah. And he went to the air app. He dogs DBs, man. That is one physical possession wide receiver.
So,
what I'm saying is he's a type for the Titans for sure.
He is. I don't think you're going to do a Landry for Julio deal. That's a pipe dream. I don't think. Was it Beauclair that told us he's just under the assumption right now that Julio's not back in his own mind? He
did say that. Yep. He did a drive-by.
I agree with him. I don't think Julio's here either. I think at least one party pretty high up with the Titans didn't want him originally. I think there was a schism there. But past it all, I just think it didn't work. You took a shot, it didn't work. The Rams took a shot and it worked with what they did. We'd be talking a different story, as Schaefer's mentioned numerous times, had they lost that Super Bowl instead of won it.
Yeah.
But they won it. Just like people said, well, would we be having this conversation about the Titans if not for a 52-yard field goal from Evan McPherson? I don't care because he made it. That's a question that doesn't even need to be asked. The margin for error in the NFL is virtually non-existent. Look at the Bills. They didn't even reach the AFC title game. And it was overtime rules and whatever else that you want to throw out there. But more than anything else, Josh Allen could not play better than he played in that game. And they still lost. That's the difference between winning and losing in the NFL. It's so razor thin. That's why you can't take a chance and crap out on a Carson Wentz or a Jimmy Garoppolo or something. That's the difference between a Garoppolo and a Mahomes, is that Garoppolo couldn't make the throw Mahomes could make in that Super Bowl. That was the difference.
100%.
Dr. C in Brentwood. What's going on?
What's up, Doc?
Hi, guys. I really enjoy your show. Ramon, you might remember last week I got you about the birthdays.
Yep.
You said I'm not having a good day, but I was like, when do you ever have a good day on the birthday? Look,
I have a great day every day with birthdays myself.
Okay, listen, there are 3 reasons why we didn't win this game with Cincinnati. And 80% of it is on the coach and offensive coordinator. I give Tannehill 20%. He deserves it. I give you 3 reasons. Number 1, you're going for an extra point. Point. And I don't know Mike's record on it, but I remember the one that he went for it in England. He blows the game because we don't get the extra point. So you go for the extra point, bad choice. What's the deal? What's the objective of the game? To beat them by 1 point. It doesn't matter if you beat them 77-3. It's the same thing. You got 1 point at the end of the game. So consequently, the ball's on he got a penalty, the ball's on the short yard line. The last time I checked the rules, the center couldn't take the ball and fall forward for 6 inches. He had to step the ball back. What happens when he moves the ball back? The ball's not on the 1 yard line anymore. So consequently, that's not it. Now, number 2, 1-8, the play call. If you're going to go for 2, call a play. I played option quarterback in high school. I realized at 5'7", I was pretty good, but I wasn't going anyway, so I kind of did like Abby did. Now the second thing is Foreman is running the ball much better. I wouldn't take Derek out in the first quarter because if you do and you lose the game, the whole crowd's going to be going, Derek. So let Derek have his shot. I would have said let him sit there waiting for the next game to come out. Or certainly in the first or early second quarter, I'd say, Derek, you got to come out because Foreman is getting better yards than you are per carry. Derek is not going to the sideline and sulk. He's a professional. They already got his jersey, his jacket, gold jacket in Canton, Ohio. They've already taken the measurements for it, man. And if he loses much more weight or gains a lot of weight, they're going to redo it. No big deal. So he wants to win the game. He's not going to the sideline and get mad. Sorry to say peed off. But number 3, why do we throw the ball to and Westbrook Akina did a lot of good for us during the season. Why are we passing to him in this situation? If I'm not mistaken, I saw the ball touch him some kind of way and go off of him, and he was surrounded by 15 Bengals. So what they're going to do except catch the ball? You know? Come on. We giving Ryan too much credit for this loss. The coaches and the offensive coordinator did not put him in the right positions, and that's my 3 reasons why.
All right.
So, guys, comment on that. I'm finished with it.
All right, Dr. C.
What's wrong, Jason?
Just the thought of 15 Bengals surrounding Nick Westbrook-Akina made me laugh.
Rule the jungle.
I will say this, Ryan Tannehill didn't have to throw him that pass.
No, he didn't.
He's the one that had the football in his hands. If he wanted to
throw
throw the Ferkser was standing there wide open.
Well, I'll say this too: as swiftly as they went and got Tim Kelly, that gives you a whole lot of answers from what Dr. C just said.
That's an excellent point.
Well, and Vrabel even mentioned yesterday that with the success of having Jim Schwartz as a part of that group, made it much easier for him to go get a Tim Kelly and go, hey, let's get him involved and see how we can make.
Let's go get ourselves an efficiency expert. We'll come back. Coach Mack will join us. Steve, hang on the line. We will find a way to get to your phone call as well. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Imagine if the first way we did things was the only way, and it just stayed that way for what felt like forever. That's what happens when it comes to selling your home. You list your house and you got to keep it show ready because you never know when somebody want to come by for a quick look. Or you have dozens of people marching through your home that may or may not be serious about buying it, and this goes on until the right buyer comes along. Well, that's all changed thanks to Open Door. And it's Ramon Foster, and I want to tell you what I did. I went to opendoor.com, and I put in my address and a little bit of my home info, and I got an offer back in no time. Open Door takes a look at your house, along with recent sales in your neighborhood, to come up with a very competitive offer. And not just that, a real offer. It's no listings, no strangers, and no stress, and a real competitive offer in minutes. Just go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer. Open Door is the new way to sell without all the hassles of a traditional home selling. You know exactly what you're getting, and you can close when you are ready. And the best thing about it, everything is online. So go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer today. That's opendoor.com/WGFX. And offer eligibility varies, and Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc. License 02061130 in California, Open Door Brokerage, LLC, and there's other markets.
JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. That was horrible, Moan.
That was terrible.
Horrible.
So awful.
Mark Morrison rolling over in his grave.
I choose violence.
Let the experts at Farm Bureau Health Plans coach you through it when you need great health coverage at a price you can afford. They've been protecting Tennesseans since 1947, and they bring us our good pal, Coach Mack. Dave McGinnis, live from the Combine in Indy. Coach, how are you?
Good, JMart, Ramon. I'm doing good, guys. Good to talk to you. I've been doing a lot of talking since I got here Monday, but I especially like to talk to you guys.
So I'm going to ask you about that in a second, but one thing, just because we've talked a lot, obviously, about Jon Robinson's comments to the media yesterday and getting emotional about the season, and it made me think of something. It made me think of you speaking to the locker room with the Rams after Jeff Fisher, after that situation had gone down, and the emotion of that moment, the raw emotion, and how much everybody involved in the National Football League puts into it, how much they care, how much they want to win, how much a Super Bowl matters, all of those kinds of things. And I was just curious what your thoughts were on the emotions pouring out of Jon Robinson yesterday.
Well, I could empathize with it directly. I mean, I could feel it. I mean, I knew exactly what he was speaking about, and I knew where it was coming from because, I've been there. Look, when you're in this business as deep as, I've been for 36 years and as deep as he is, it's everything to you. It's your life, and it's extremely important because, and as he brought up, what you really know is when you're in those types of positions. I've been a head coach in this league, and I know what it involves, and I know all the trust that's put in you and everything that's riding on you. And so you take great responsibility for what's going on, and it's an emotional thing because you cannot not be fully invested in this at this level and have any chance for any success at all. So I felt him immediately, and I mean, and that's the kind of guy that I want to be in this business with. That's the kind of guy I want to be in this business with. I came into this business, JMart and Ramon, with a guy like that and Mike Ditka. Mm-hmm. He was as passionate about the National Football League and what it meant to him as anything else. And he immediately, I sensed that from him, back in 1986, and I sensed the same thing from Jon Robinson yesterday here in Indy.
How rare, Coach Mack, is it for a guy to publicly show his emotions like that? Like, I know JR is from this state. He enjoys what he's doing. Relatively young at this job, so you get a little bit of the rawness of it, Coach Mack. But this doesn't happen the way it does, with what Jon Robinson did yesterday, as common as you would like to see these type of emotion comes out, does it?
Well, Ramon, here's the thing. It's genuine. If you guys will go back and pull the press conference when Jon Robinson was named, I was not working here then. I was still in the league, but I watched the when he was named the GM here. Watch his emotions then. This guy it's from the heart. And when it's from the heart, that everything he's doing, that he's fully invested because, look, the fans are in it from the heart. And Amy Adams Strunk is. And so when somebody does that and somebody is willing to put themselves out like that, look, I've done that before, in front of my team. JMart just said it. I did it, on a national show that I knew was going to be shown forever. But if you're really invested in it and you're really true to yourself and then true to the people that depend on you, you're not afraid to show those genuine emotions.
Does it also reveal that Jon Robinson, he's trying to explain, because in his own mind, he thought they had something special because they did. Like, they against all odds, they found themselves in that spot. And it's just like it came crashing down. And in that moment, when you started to believe in it, and you felt like this could be our year, you also know the level of work, how hard it was to get to that spot and what's going to be required all over again, because then you have to wipe the slate clean and start from square one.
Well, that's what this business is, and that's that when you get in it. But it's still in a great spot because of the people that are in charge. I mean, and the people that they have, and because of that locker room, it's got to be genuine. I mean, I just had Aeneas Williams on the Titans Amy Coach Mack podcast, yesterday, and when we were talking, one of the things we brought up as to when he chose to sign a second contract with the Cardinals before I even got there because he knew they were bad, but he wanted to help them get better, and we just reminisced yesterday about he and I were both hugging each other and crying on the field there at Old Texas Stadium when we beat the Cowboys for the first Cardinal playoff victory in 51 years. Look, you've got to be invested. But if people know that you are, then that's what's important. Ramon, you can speak to this. You know this. This is what, because a locker room has to know that everybody is invested and everybody is genuine. Look, and JMart, it's a start over every year in this league.
Yeah.
This is a hard league. This is a hard business, and you got to understand that when you get in it. But that's the beauty of it, because when you do get it there, and all of a sudden you're able to get it over the top, it's worth everything, all the grind that you put in.
Coach Mack, you brought up the word business and investments, and, those words kind of ring high this time of year because NFL business is about to pop off, and now you guys are back in the saddle as far as going to Indy, seeing these prospects up close. Honestly, seeing some people that you know personally. And as far as the agents and coaches, what is it like as far as the business of the league getting done as far as free agency and everything else moving forward right now?
It's a constant hum. It's like a motor that's constantly humming.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. And as I say, I've been to every one of these since its inception in 1987 here in Indianapolis. I've been to it in all different capacities, as an assistant coach, as a coordinator, as an assistant head coach, as a head coach. So I've been through it in all facets, and I know what's going on. And, and I'm able to move within all the circles here now. But it's a constant hum. It's a constant motion. This is the nerve center right now of the National Football League. And so it's where a lot of deals start to get done. Now that they have the suites and everybody's in the suites at Lucas Oil, you can just step right out of one suite and move into another and get in the hallway and talk. There's a lot going on here. And
right.
I mean, it always is, and it always will be. And the National Football League, look, when I first started in 1987, nobody really knew how to kind of approach this and do this. I've been telling stories all week when people ask me how it was when it first started. And, I mean, it was the Wild West. It wasn't organized. It was just and throughout the years, it's become what it is now. It's become a national television event. But the business of it, Ramon, that you asked me about, that is still humming. That is still humming and humming quite a bit this whole week.
So you use the word humming. Tell me what the hum is right now, the buzz at the Combine. What has everyone's interest peaked? What are some of the kinds of conversations that are being had league-wide right now?
Well, it's of course, everybody's involved in their own salary cap situation, right? I mean, the salary cap and free agency is what's made this a really nerve center of what goes on. When I first started, there was no salary cap, there was no free agency, so it was just mainly focused on the draft, the draftees. Well, it's still that focus is there, but you still hear now your most immediate thing that's going on is all of these meetings, is your free agency, is your trade possibilities, is your salary cap. But if you talk about what's going on the workout field or around the prospects, this draft is, I think, the hum is around, if you want to use that word, is how are you going to sort these quarterbacks out? Mm-hmm. You already know you got a couple of them. Corral's not going to throw. I don't know if Malik Willis is going to run. I don't know. I think they both said that they may not do. I know Corral's not going to do anything, and so there's no. You have not last year, guys. There were delineations of quarterbacks that people would move up to get in this draft, and then everything else fed off of that. This is a complete opposite. It's going to be the edge rushers, the offensive tackles now. They're going to be at the top that people are going to be moving up to get, are going to be sorting out. And these quarterbacks are going to, once this gets sorted throughout the evaluation process, they're going to be pushed down the draft because and I don't think, just in talking to all the people that I do, which is a lot here, I don't think anybody's got it completely sorted out yet.
Coach Mack, as far as sorting stuff out, man, these young prospects are – biggest interview of their lives. Probably the first interview they've ever had for a job for a lot of these athletes because all they've done is play sports, man. What are they, what are the questions and how do you see these young guys nowadays approach those one-on-one meetings at the request of any team that wants to during this combine session right now?
Yeah, Ramon, and it's different now because this isn't the first interview because they've all got agents now that have people that come in and put them through it and prep them. You know what?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's not. This is not a brand new process for them. What is brand new for them is all of a sudden going in one of those suites and closing that door and have 8 or 10 people there, putting questions at you. And, and sometimes the ones I was involved in, all the way from a head coach all the way through an assistant, I was involved in all of those things. And, you have 8 or 10 people in there, and then you assign some, you say, okay, you're the good cop in here for this 15 minutes. You're the bad cop. Here's what we want to ask him. Here's, and you're not trying to embarrass anybody. You're not trying to put anybody on the spot, but you are trying to find out, so that because a lot of them come in, and if there's trigger answers, it triggers those automatic responses that they've been programmed with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important here. This is important here for an initial meeting, but the real important meetings are the 30 meetings when you bring them into your facility, and now you've got them all day, and you can run them through everybody in that building, and they're with you there for a long time. So, yeah, I mean, the 15 minutes, and it's really not, it's 15 minutes, but you talk about running through and moving. When you're over there doing that, it's 15-minute increments, and it goes from 6 until 11 at night. That's a lot of grind for coaches, for GMs, and for the prospects.
So I want you to give us a couple of guys that you have your eye on, guys, and maybe positions that you're paying close attention to this week. But also the guy that we continue to just we're just batting around. We're trying to figure out what it's going to look like on the next level. Aiden Hutchinson's got a ton of there's a ton of love out there from NFL draft experts about what he could potentially do on the next level. He sounds incredibly confident. Obviously, you're working through all the film and all this. He's going to be a top 3 pick. We certainly assume. How good do you think he actually is, and what problems could he have on the next level?
Well, they are going to have problems on the next level because it's an adjustment. Coming from the NCAA here, they're all going to have problems. Let's just say that. But let's talk about, and again, I'm going to have my eyes on a lot of people here, but just in a broad brush. But let's talk about that, and the debate right now that I get throughout the hallways is Aiden Hutchinson to Thibodeau, right, from Oregon.
Right.
Okay, and so you're looking at 2 guys that are going to be drafted very high on the edge, but you've got 2 completely different types of players. Aiden Hutchinson is a grinder. He is a down in, down out. When you put the tape on him, all you see is constant effort, constant motion. You see counter moves, and you see power moves. You see that type of player the whole time. Is he extra bendy off the edge? No, not in my humble opinion. Okay. But you see a complete football player. When you watch Thibodeau, now you're seeing a Gumby off the edge, long, can chase down from the backside, can bend the edge. You got the motorcycle lean, can do all of that stuff. But do you see it every play? In the stuff I've watched, you don't.
Right.
And so that is, and then, of course, they're both going to test well. I would expect Thibodeau to test even better with what's getting ready to go on here on the floor, during the weekend. But those are the types of things that are just a piece of their evaluation process. But I'm glad you brought that up, JMart, because those 2 guys kind of represent the dichotomy of the decisions that have to be made at all positions. And that's a good one to stick out right there.
Coach Mack, now that we got all the football ball out the way, man, I'm going to ask you because Will is too chicken to ask you.
Yeah.
When are you going to take him to St. Elmo's, man, and really baptize him into the fire of what NFL nightlife is like? Coach Mack, you've been there year in and year out. Show him the lay of the land, man.
No, look, here's the thing. Will, I was sitting at the table with Will yesterday. I brought the priest in to give ashes to Buck, okay? I brought the priest in on Ash Wednesday to give ashes to coaches that or the media that couldn't get to the Mass. So I've already done that part. I've got me a cooler room down below for that. I know I can only ask for that. That's all I can ask for with what I've done in my life. But Will was sitting there wanting to know about. I said, Will, here's what you can do. Walk across the street, St. Elmo's. You know where the sign is. Go sit at the bar. Sit at the bar. Order the shrimp, and then get involved in the flow of it. I said, it's nothing. I mean, guys, I've been going to St. Elmo's since 1978. Yeah, I mean, I used to.
That's the year I was born, Mo.
You got a private table.
Well, yeah, and so and I've known St. Elmo's forever, and it gets an aura. It's a great place.
It is.
And I told Will, don't be scared to go in there. Just walk in. I mean, you're at the combine. Go walk in. You don't have to have anybody take you in there. Walk in. Go sit at the bar. That will help Will. I'll tell him that again today when I see him over there. By the way, Ramon, how'd you like the call from Mack Stark?
I loved it, Coach Mack. I loved it, man. You're around some good guys up there, man. That's what the NFL is anyway, man. Max is my brother, man. I love that dude.
I know. I saw him. I came over. He said, "Oh yeah, Coach Mack." I said, "Hey, Ramon's with us up there," and I said, "Let's call him." He was so excited to talk to you. That was absolutely great.
Yes,
and so as I said, that's part of it too. I've been here long enough that I know a lot of people. I know the names, all three of the bomb sniffing dogs. They're guarding our doors. I know them now. I pet them every day. When I go in, I got Opal, Sherman, and Panther. So I pet it. They rotate. I pet them every day. Jon Robinson was coming out, through the media place when he was through watching. I was sitting there petting Opal, the little black female dog, and of course they're wearing those big do not pet vests on them. He went, "Coach Mack, do not pet," and handler said, "Only special people," and he said, "Coach Mack special."
That's what I was going to ask you, Coach Mack. How did you pet him when we can't pet him?
I've done it for years, because this company, this group, they also bring their bomb sniffing dogs and their bag sniffing dogs to Tennessee to games, so I know all of it.
Yeah.
So I woke up and hey, you got Opal here. Good. Of course. Anyway, guys, that's Coach Mack's combine. You need to come with me sometime.
Dave, if you were a dog, you could be a bomb sniffing dog. Like if you weren't doing what if there was like a Paw Patrol version of you, you would be a bomb sniffing dog. Like they probably look at you, you're like, you know what? You seem like there's a piece of you that's descended from us.
Hey, Paw Patrol, I love that. That's beautiful. Hey, this is the only interview I've done from the combine, and I've done about 40 of them already. That Paw Patrol has come up. That's why you guys are special.
I love it, Matt.
Coach, enjoy the rest of the week. We always appreciate it, brother.
See you guys. Bye.
Yes! You tell I got a daughter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tell me your dad without saying it.
We'll come back and put finishing touches on today's show. If you haven't had a chance to get in, I know we didn't get one Harold Landry call. If you want to call back in, you can. 615-737-1045. JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
Baker Burwell is the disability brokerage financial professionals can count on to deliver disability insurance, education, products, and services. What is your most valuable asset? Your home? Think again. It is your income. And this may sound crazy, but let me explain it for you. Say you make $150,000 a year and you're 35 years old. Even if you never, ever get a pay raise, you'll make $4.5 million in your working lifetime. And I'm guessing your house is a little bit less than $4.5 million, even here in Nashville. But as a former pro athlete, it wasn't a thought about insuring my income or my career. But I'm sure the same applies to you as well. Have you ever considered what would happen if you couldn't continue your career due to health or injury? For 2 or 3% of your income, you can insure it up to 60% tax-free. Don't let your next paycheck be your last paycheck, because one thing we've learned is this: bad things do happen to good people. Well, Baker Burwell is the best resource for financial advisors and insurance agents when providing solutions in income protection. They are a trusted friend working with your trusted advisor to make sure that you are properly insured. And the thing about them, they are local and simply wants to see their community be protected. So give them a call at 615-309-5958 or visit the website at bakerburwell.com.
As we roll into the madness of March, we all want our team to make the big dance, but for some men, they just can't get their offense moving enough to even get on the court, let alone into the game. Hillside Medical Clinic, here to help. ED, a medical condition that affects millions of men's confidence and lives every day. Hillside Medical Clinic has a solution for a lagging offense. If you called today, this is a special for just today. Call right now. Not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, but they will include something unique that'll produce instant results in the bedroom. And today only, you'll get 3 additional treatments for free. If you need those 3 additional treatments will be free, an unprecedented value worth $800. Today only. Call Hillside Medical, 615-576-5000, 615-576-5000. Put a stop to ED and get back into the game.
Zakai Ziegler, the GoFundMe now over 350,000?
363,000.
A lot of people stepped up. I saw Danny White, his wife had put in. Dondi Plowman had put in. My old boss and pal Clay Travis put in 1,000, and confirmed that yesterday. There've been a lot of folks putting in. Ziegler's family lost their house in a fire over the weekend in New York, and they're going to end up with over $500,000, I bet.
I would hope so. And it's deeper than that because not deeper than that, but they lost their house, number one, but he also has a special needs nephew that's in the house, lost that wheelchair and ramp and splints, they said. So
I do believe Ziegler mentioned that amounts above and beyond looking at other charities that they can pass that along.
Yeah, and that's smart. Good. That's exactly what you should do. But you can find that at GoFundMe. If you just put in his name, it'll pop up. But the GoFundMe is still there. I'm seeing like 343 right now.
343,
and just it's pretty awesome.
So TMZ picked it up by bringing light to it. That's huge.
I like to goof on the zealotry of Vols fans, but I mean they always show up.
That's just
always show up.
Absolutely.
They did the same thing though too for the Caden Salter kid before you remember got in trouble and his dad caught COVID bad. Yeah.
Cousin Andrew, what's going on, Andrew?
I don't know of another fan base that can get a coach fired and be hated and then just turn around and show so much love to their own.
It's a really good argument.
I'm proud to be a part of it, man. There's no other fan base like it, and you can go argue with the wall. So I hate to end the show like this, but maybe I'm going to pick it up tomorrow and maybe discuss it. But my fear is the ceiling for the way this team is built. The ceiling was hit in 2019. I kind of think that may be some of what JRob's emotions were about, because Tannehill, they figured him out. They figured out the Titans version of Tannehill. This is a run-first offense, has been for a long time, and we ran it back based on the results of 2019. We had the decision. It kind of sounds like if you fill in the blanks between Tom Brady or Tannehill, and the fan base and everybody else just said Tannehill's the guy. He's a different guy from Miami, and like my buddy said at B-Dubs, he's watched Tannehill's entire career, and he's not. He's still the same Tannehill. So my fear is that emotion was, hey, this format of this team and the way this team is built, our chance was 2019. I don't know that we're going to get back there because you stop the run, you stop the Titans. I don't care how you twist it, how you turn it, you stop the run, you stop the Titans. So I hope that I'm wrong, because if not, we got some rebuilding to do. But I'm not saying blow it up, but I think that after the upcoming season, we may have to readjust not just the quarterback position, but the way this offense is run in general. So y'all be good. We'll see you.
All right, Andrew.
Very good call.
Yeah, it is. This is well said. I saw this mentioned real quickly, and then we'll take Jeremy's call to end our show. Alex is talking about like potential guys in the draft, and he's mentioning several WKU guys. Zappy's a quarterback that obviously just incredible numbers last year.
Yeah.
Jarreth Stearns of the three is the one I would keep my eye on. Jarreth Stearns not being a Blitnikoff finalist was criminal. He is an outstanding player that I truly do believe can flourish on the next level. Malone off the edge, maybe in a mid-round kind of guy.
Yeah.
Stearns is the one you should pay attention to. I'm telling you that here first. And I like Bailey Zappi, and I'd love to see that work out. It was an unbelievable pull out of the transfer portal. Jeremy, what's going on, brother?
Oh, nothing much, guys. First things first, I don't know if any of the other listeners caught it last night, but Shape did an awesome job last night with Liz Allison on the radio talking about NASCAR.
Awesome.
I stayed in the car and listened to it for about 20, 25 minutes, just listening to what he had to say about it. Now let's shift gears to the random acts of petty violence. When I was a kid, in my, I've called y'all before, told y'all about, we used to drink a lot of Crown. Well, we used to have these parties, and people would come over and they would get drunk. Well, they knew the rules. If you passed out, you were, subject to anything that would occur. Well, we would take fingernail clippers and grab a hold of pennies with them and take a lighter and get them searing hot and then throw it on them while they were drunk, passed out, and watch them jerk and fight to get out from underneath whatever it was that they were getting burned by. And then So these stories would go back to school, and they would circulate, and people would want to come and participate in this stuff. Like, oh, my God, we heard about what y'all did. People would come be a part of this. So they knew what they were getting involved with over time. But the stories would get pretty crazy. So I'll let y'all go, man. Best show on the radio, as always.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeremy.
That's devious licks right there.
I don't know what that is.
I choose violence.
Yeah. Ooh.
We'll do it again 4 hours tomorrow. Mike Keith will join us tomorrow. Well, we can chew a little bit more on what Andrew said, because there was definitely a lot to get into right there. Maybe save that call. Maybe we can replay that call and jump off that a little bit tomorrow. Buck's coming up next. He is in Indianapolis. I'm sure he'll have plenty more on JRob and all of these things. For Ramon Foster and Jonathan Schaefer, enjoy your Thursday. I'm Jason Martin.
And remember, Twitter fingers in your mic is always hot.
I'm Batman.